Yep. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Board of Trustees regular board meeting of September 23rd, 2025. I would like to note that today marks the final public board meeting of this board's term. And so to begin our meeting, I will read our land acknowledgement. As we gather today on Agapagucks, we would like to acknowledge the traditional territories and oral practices of the Blackfoot Nations, which includes the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai. We acknowledge the Tsuut'ina and Stoney Nakoda First Nations, the Métis Nation people who make their homes on the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. First on our agenda, number 3, I should say, is our consent agenda. Are there any items that trustees would like to pull from our consent agenda?
Yes, I'd like to just pull 3.4.
3.4 SPA report, okay. We will move, I noted we don't have an information item. So following division highlights before public forum, I'll add information items as a header and we will put it as 12.1. Allison.
Could I pull 3.2 just for some further information on the joint city and school boards?
Oh, certainly.
Thanks.
So I will put that as 12.2. And Andrea.
I talk more about the spirit of 51 when we get to our larger reports, or pull it.
I will let you decide.
What comes first?
What comes first is the action items of the year-end reports. So you could include it with
then
that.
I'll talk now.
Okay, certainly.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else? All right, so we will pull 3.4 and 3.2, and they will now become 12.1 and 12.2. Next, we have approval of the agenda. Are there any amendments needed to the agenda? 2 amendments that I would like to note. On 11.6 draft governance policy omnibus, I would like that noted that that's second reading. And then 11.7, the draft growth supervision and evaluation policy, that is also second reading. So if those could just be noted. Are there any? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve, please. Craig, thank you. Favor? And that's carried. The minutes. First, we will look at the June 17, 2025. I'm looking for a motion to approve. Jenny? And those in favor? I was waiting and I didn't see any hands. Nope, not beginning.
Just on those minutes 11.7, and it says Trustee Allison Purcell for the vote. I'm just minutes when they would leave and when they would come back. So, curious, noted in.
Yes, can make note of the time of that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Kristen? Just, okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
I was trying to remember why I laughed. So I was like, why was I absent? And then I was like,
Any needed? We move to minutes of August 5th, 2020. There. Looking for to approve. Andrea, in favor? And that's carried. Thank you so much. There's no business arising from the minutes, so now we move on to our Associate Superintendent's report. Point one.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My first associate superintendent report, not as colorful as you may have seen, but provide you some information here. So first of all, on August 16th, the division did host our 5th annual First Ride event at Lakeview Elementary School. We did that in partnership with Holy Spirit School Division and Southland Transport. For students to come out and be on the bus with our station staff. Had approximately 150 for that. For our preparation for year-end audit, with year-end being August 3rd, conducted by MMP last year, where field work on the award for 20th annual. The division has submitted this document for board international budget award consideration. So props to staff. That's what we do every year. Acknowledging with projects, getting caught up with regular maintenance. Some of the big projects they were helping this months. West Coast they've been in regular up secure the capital we have as well. Galbraith School, we are still in the early stages of designs. The age of the facility and the layout, it has presented some unique challenges as to how the construction on into. So there is some conversation about that changing more from the scope of a renovation, kind of in rebuild just what is there. So we're still working with partners with the architect to on the they have a forward to get. Ideally, we like to see maybe tendering time here in the spring. Hold me on any of West Cooley grad event. 100 people at current capacity. It modular classroom if they need in the future. You know, it's not just the construction team, but it's purchasing, it's finance, technology, vision, maintenance, right, and the teachers doing the actual teaching. So a big thank you for everybody. Moving on the capital renovations, Park, they did complete the 3rd floor ventilation. There will be additional renovations over the summer. Done is ventilation and washrooms on 3rd floor. Complete the modular classrooms at Coalbanks Elementary over the and they also received funding announcement for one classroom at Chinook. The LC project, we do have the architects working on finalized report for the pre-planning phase of the LCI project. Tentative report is expected to be completed sometime in October, early. And finally, thank you and the shout out to taking facilities staff. Taking care- There's a lot for students and teachers as to help. That said, be happy to take any questions from the board.
Excellent. Thank you for your report, Kyle. Certainly, there are many trees still standing because of your report. Thank you. Craig.
When modulars are being installed, and two of them at Coalbanks, who takes care of the inside where they have it fenced off for the modulars? Because it doesn't look well for us to have weeds 2 or 3 feet high in that area. And it's just something that I noticed, like people will notice that. And so it's not the responsibility of us to take care of that because it's under construction, but can we talk to people that are doing the construction to keep that place a little neater?
Yeah, that's a great comment, and I'll definitely follow up with that and let's and make sure we have somebody on that.
Thank you.
Andrea.
Welcome. We're so happy to have you. And I too have been in quite a few schools for the how beautifully clean they are. Like the floors just glisten. And so if you could pass thanks as well to everybody that made that happen. They just look amazing when you go into them. You quite a bit of it about Galbraith and moving. Do staff continue to be involved about things that they'd like to see in their school as things grow and change?
Yeah, definitely. We've had some meetings recently on site with Galbraith, and we have had the principal and the vice principal involved in those meetings. So we did have a nice sit down with them, kind of show them some of the plans that were being presented, and we were able to get some pretty valuable input from them as well. So we're going to continue to keep them involved in the conversations throughout the project as well.
Awesome, thanks. My new to be in there helping set up a classroom. Thanks.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I thank you for your report, Kyle. Next, we will move on. 7.2, instructional services, Morag.
Okay. Almost at the end of September, I feel like we just started. So, whew, can't believe all of the stuff that has been going on in instructional services. As you can see in the agenda, an itinerary of dates, lots of activities, including Indigenous ed activities, which we experienced over at West Cooley. Unfortunately, I couldn't go, but I know that Christine Light was there and Mike was there to experience the naming ceremony that we had happen. A very special welcome to our counseling coordinator, Steve Combe. He has hit the ground running. Our middle school Indigenous education teacher, Nolan Littlebear, and our new inclusive education coordinator, Lori Campman. So quite a lot of leadership changeover in instructional services, but each of those individuals really just got their teeth into the work and connected. Nutrition programming has commenced as of this week with Mindful Munchies offering lunchtime programming to all of our schools. They also are supporting us with snacks for breakfast time. So we are definitely revamping a lot of our programming for nutrition in our schools, trying to ensure that the experience if a student goes from one school to another is standardized. So we wouldn't be having one school that would be offering steak and eggs and then another school just offering granola bars for breakfast. So we really do want to try and create a standardized experience for our students. And very grateful for the work that Mindful Munchies has done to support our lunch programming at all of our schools. Mental health capacity building, I know we're talking about summer and we already feel like we're in fall, but just really want to give a huge shout out to the work that our mental health capacity building team of 5 have done over this summer. And if you look on the next page at the little visual, you really get a for the level of work that they have continued to put into both the school year, but then also the summer. In the summertime this year, they did service more than 1,127 students and youths in the activities, 31 activities throughout the months of July and August. So just really, really amazing educational and thoughtful activities that that team comes up with that hook in a lot of families because they're a lot of fun and yeah, just good to get outside and be active and connect with others. Early education programming, Carly Ramatowski's been really doing a great job of trying to increase the promotion and unfortunately we did lose a few in Nicholas Sharon to our daycare programming. So that's a big update for our trustees. I know they're always curious to see where kinder care ends up. Lastly, Erin Herkett, I do really want to very shout out to Erin and the work she has done and invested in the education amendment work and supporting procedures that need to be put into as well. We've got field testing going for now the new phase of that curriculum is coming out for math, social studies, physical education, wellness, career education, and financial literacy. We had an expression of interest sent out to our teachers, so we're still waiting to see the level of interest in teachers 7 to 9 who wish to be field testing. We don't say piloting, field testing that new curriculum. We also are working on our new report card for elementary. I know Erin's been sweating bullets and working hard with the tech department, but it looks like it will be ready to roll out for this fall. So we're excited to be able to be using our new report card that really was well received last year and reflects obviously the new outcomes of our new curriculum. Yeah, just essentially, Jody Babke, do want to put a huge shout out to her as well. She's doing a lot of work around the field testing and supporting new curriculum and getting things rolling around literacy and numeracy in our middle school as she's spending half of her day over at Wilson and then also continuing the division work in literacy and curriculum support. So just a big thank you. She's always running. I think she actually has roller skates in her car. She does some great work with our teachers on the ground floor. 3 other pieces the board had asked to make sure we share Indigenous Education Bingo Night. So October will be Banks Elementary. It starts at 5. October 16th, Patterson, that's our middle school Indigenous Education Bingo Night. That will also start at 5:30. And then October 21st, Chinook, the high school Indigenous Ed Bingo Night will be 5:30.
Thank you very much, Maureen, for your report. Are there any questions?
Just one, thank you for the report. On the early education learning, the one in early education, keeping goals as they go kindergarten? Or do we know that?
Could you just clarify that for me?
Well,
Greg?
like we have 173 students in early education, which is pre-kindergarten. Do we keep most of those students as they move through?
We'd really like to spend some time looking at the historical loss last year, Craig.
Yeah.
And that was mostly to the transience of moving to another location or division. And we can definitely look at whether we lost any this year. But I think that's something I'd like to track. That data is really important to look at the whys around the loss we do lose.
But yes, generally speaking, we do have high retention rates.
Good. So that means basically what I'm looking at is that that's an effective program for our children that are pre-K and most of them, which is excellent.
And the impact on kids when they get into kindergarten and grade 1 that have been in the early learning programs is substantial. It's substantial.
Andrea.
Thank you so much for your work. Rejoicing that my is back. That's fantastic news. Excited to see the 7 programs for EAP. That's one. Also, big shout out to Erin Herkett for helping with the for resources. Huge job. Thank you for the kinder care information as having that as a pet project. I just wanted to ask about the government test and the response that we've given, and like some of the tests remain like not appropriate for the age of the child, like the time to subtraction and the amount of time individual testing that comes with this testing, and also at least time to accomplish that testing. Like how is that decided? Days they for that.
So early years assessment has come very deep. I need to get the information for that unless Mike has any additional information on that at this juncture.
I'll see if I can go off the top of my head with the caveat that I might not have the details quite exactly right. I believe there is a bit of money that comes in through the boost funding for intervention after the assessment, so I believe that's part of the purpose. If I remember correctly, we did set aside some money for subs as well. That was well received last year, and something that, I mean, we'll that and make type that we tried to.
And then just because it's my last meeting, like what will our response be for continuation of the testing, and how hard it is for the match. So it's my last meeting, so just wanted to speak up about that on behalf of teachers that is into that kind of testing, and because so early when they really know I can't have results last year. And when you go to the conference, I know you'll get a chance to talk about that. So, but it's just my last chance to speak up the effect that has on children and teachers. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrea. And please note, you are always welcome to come and continue your advocacy at our public forum following this term. Allison.
Thank you. And you can bug any trustee that's on the future board as well, so. There's lots of new people you can like look up to. So with the Mindful Munchies, I as well echo. It's amazing, and I just heard recently on the radio with the new campaign that they did the brown bag lunch initiative, and lots of funds. It's definitely our community coming together to help support our students. So I think that definitely needs to be commended, and the work together with the divisions doing together with Lethbridge Food. Awesome. So thank you. The mental health capacity building, I think that, I know that some of that funding comes from education. I think that it's important that our kids support in the summer, and to know that our team is out there, and the work that in our parks and encouraging kids to still access services, to see the numbers certainly increase year after year. The needs are still there, and to know that our teams are out there supporting them is almost. The early education, happy to see numbers have risen. Certainly request many times. Garrett was doing lots of advertising. You guys were out doing sessions, and I think that to get those numbers up is great. And also like the 52 fee paying spots, I appreciate that as well. It just creates more inclusion when we're including our typically developing students as well. So thank you. I see Erin Herkett's name throughout the package. I'm like, holy Dinah, does that? So thank you to Erin for all the work. Campus and work experience, I know that I certainly had a kiddo going through that this summer, and seeing some of the students and opportunities for a community partnership, working together with community businesses, welcomed our students into their workplaces but they were provided with experience and opportunities to explore training otherwise. And the students that were in that piece, they different and really getting to see what's of interest to them. So I think that those opportunities that we provide is phenomenal. A couple of questions I had, and if I can ask the one question, then come back if that's okay. So the first one is around Spanish, knowing that sounds like it's a fairly successful transition from Coalbanks over. We know in regards to the Spanish program, the numbers that moved over, or roughly, like not exact numbers, but like were we pretty close to most, and where are things at with the Spanish bilingual program?
We'll respond. We're we're just looking, but we don't think on the spreadsheet that we have. But yeah, that's certainly something that we can, get. But our planning is it's really robust, and there's been a really positive response from the community. Yeah.
Good. Just wanted to make sure families weren't left behind. I did hear that certainly in kindergarten that we filled and had to say to families no. So I think that knowing that and how do we ensure that that growth is there going forward, I think is really important, that we're ensuring that we're continuing that program. And I think certainly future comes in is looking at, is there potential of expansion for the Spanish bilingual program in city, knowing that its growth is there. The parents were willing to go to a new and make the changes that they needed to. So I think that that's phenomenal. And certainly the concern is there in regards to where it's going for high school piece. So I think just some confirmation for families of where Spanish bilingual will be for high school is certainly important. So I don't know if you have anything to add. Okay.
We did send out in our last meeting a full communication on that plan. And so Keith Chinook will be connecting with the community in late October to start that process. We do have one student from the Spanish bilingual program in grade 9, and he is taking some Spanish. We've had to tailor it. We can't offer a full classroom for the young person, but we have connected he and his parent and a few other things. So to Chinook, we've definitely been planning that. Keith has already been looking into connecting with the high school in Calgary. So that's well on its way.
And knowing there's many more parents coming, our next year, I think we'll certainly be able to offer more. There's more in that next cohort, but they're definitely interested in knowing that there is opportunity from that high school piece. So, and then my other question is the inclusive advisory committee, if you can just provide an update of where we're at the start of.
So it'll be the second meeting, and that's on October 28th from 1 until 3.
One more thing, and thank you for everything for support the committees together. I'm really looking forward to the Indigenous bingo nights, and I love attending those. And I noticed that the day after the election, come to events right up until the next board meeting. Is that how? Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any?
Thank you for your report and for all the added information you've been able to provide us. We've asked questions. Looking at the early education learning. I know that EAP programming is something we spend a lot of time thinking about and talking about and strategizing around, and we really place a lot of value on that. And I recall we made some hard decisions with budgeting and really setting aside money for that programming and wanting to allow that to have what was needed there. And so just looking at the number of programs now with had set aside in our budget. Call.
So the number that we had.
Yes, a great question. And so agreed upon was the number of programs, and then the question becomes how many kids do we have in the program. So when we left, you'll see in Morag's report, we were at 140 10 programs. Now we're at 173, probably even up a little bit from that. So, and you know, you're probably looking at about 20 as a cap on any of the programs. So that's pretty good. And right now, those are good size programs. So, you know, you can do the math. It's averaging, it's an average, so you'll find different numbers, but in that 17 range per, which is good.
Just to clarify then, so there is 10 programs. Okay, the 7 schools was throwing, it was calling 10 programs because that was a hard budgeting decision we made and something we really value. And seeing the 7 schools, I'm doing the math and how big these programs are. And so I appreciate that clarity. Thank you.
Other questions? Right, seeing none, thank you, Maureen, for your report. And we will now move on to 7.3, resources.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Human resources updates. You'll notice in typical fashion the staffing updates, and I'll just clarify. When we see number of teacher contracts or teacher hires, that those are not necessarily new hires. Those include any contracts, so anybody going on leave or any leave extensions. So you'll notice that in teacher hires, as well as in our support staff hires, that those contracts would not necessarily mean new positions. Our HR team has been busy making some changes and adjustments to our onboarding process, so that happened over the summer. As you know, onboarding is extraordinarily important. That's our first formal introduction to new staff coming into Lethbridge School Division, and we want to make sure that it's done well. And Madeline has done 60 on through our system, as well as some face-to-face onboarding in order to make our new staff feel as welcome as possible. Down to enrollment, and please note this is just very high-level information. We won't have any finalized information on our enrollment until after the September 30th cutoff. Just preliminarily speaking, we're relatively flat with enrollment. And Berger has predicted a flat enrollment, but we're holding steady by numbers comparing to this time last year. November board report from Human Resources will have far more specific information in detail regarding enrollment and class size. We need to monitor class closely and work with our schools and our principals to make sure that we're supporting some of those class sizes that are looking pretty high right now. And we'll be able to make some more decisions after we have some final enrollment numbers coming in. Moving down to staff. So we're continuing with some of the initiatives that we brought in last year that we've experienced some success with and had some really positive feedback. So our Send Before 6 initiative has been very well received by staff, students, and families. We'll be continuing with that initiative, and we've sent that messaging out again this year. Our staff wellness newsletter will continue. We're getting lots of hits on some of those resources and things happening within our school communities, within the community of Lethbridge. And I'd like to highlight specifically partnership with the University of Lethbridge. It's not new that Lethbridge School Division is with the University of Lethbridge, but specifically around exciting opportunities to work with our university partners with new teacher wellness as well as administrator or leadership wellness. But the university is committed to working with the vision about all of our staff and wellness specifically, and doing some research and gathering around staff wellness so that we can work together to support our efforts. I believe that is all that I will on, and I will take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robbie. Are there any questions on this report? Craig?
Yeah, just one on the partnership with the U of L. She spoke at our Breakfast in Paradise retired teachers, the dean. And
Lead Star?
yes,
Thank you.
and we were about the 4-year program, 4-year instead of 5-year for the early education. How's that going? Are we looking at those kind of teachers coming into our division eventually, if we have the money?
We would. Last year was the very first year, so we have absolutely no data yet, Craig, but we will be looking at that and some of those. Yep, absolutely. Have any further information? It's just so brand new.
Right. Thank you.
Andrea?
Thank you for your report, and I too got to listen to speaker because I went to my first retired teacher's breakfast, so that was exciting, and definitely stood out that we need to attract people to the profession. So that was important, and she was a wonderful speaker. And thank you so much for this data. I so appreciate that you're tracking classes in elementary, and I don't want to move up and track other. You talked a little bit about hotspots, and with the hotspots, what are some creative ways that in those classes moving forward?
Well, right now we're supporting with some interim educational assistance support. We don't have anything formalized that we'll be able to communicate until after we know what those enrollment numbers really look like and what we have to work with. But we've been different possibilities and providing solutions and support. We have learning support teachers that are doing some push-in supports, more in some spot classrooms, but more formal communication we'll be able to share after the September 30th. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that they're on your radar.
You
Thanks.
bet. You bet.
Allison?
Thank you, Rob, for your report and for work. I certainly know that through the summer and September is a busy time. I appreciate the elementary class sizes and look forward to seeing the other ones once we know more. September 30th date. I'm wondering if you can give us an indication together with the budgetary pieces when we look at where we're at with, are we increasing or decreasing or staying similar? Are we with the new 2-year average, how many students are we potentially not being funded for?
I'm going to defer so it's answered properly, Allison.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's one too that once we do have those September 30th numbers kind of finalized, we can sit down and review again all the assumptions that we made this past year during budget. And then, as if funding changes any of the rates too, we can incorporate that. And then once we get those final numbers, we can give the board a more better educated guess or definitive answer of where we are for funding once we have that all finalized. But it's definitely something that's on our radar to do once that's needed.
Just in addition to that, knowing that this is our last board meeting for this board, after September 30th, how might that be communicated so that people have an idea of where we're at as a division? With our next board meeting not being until, obviously,
Are you
until
talking
November.
about the public, the board?
Just in terms of, I think the public are interested in our budget, right? So to our website and they look at our budget, at where our numbers are at. I think people kind of want to know where things are at. There's certainly lots of numbers floating out in the environment that we're not being funded for students, and just, I think to have some accurate information would be good. So just how can people find out about that? The new board won't have that information until later, so.
Yeah, and I can provide a little bit of information on that. Where we always do a budget update, a fall budget update for the board. So that'll happen. I believe that's scheduled to happen at the next scheduled board meeting. Enrollment and all those sorts of things. Robbie will do a on that. So that information is all publicly available. But I can give a short answer in terms of where we're at in general, because you're right, it is big question, and obviously there is lots of questions and concerns about funding. In terms of the weighted moving average this year, it's not going to have a large impact either way, because our enrollment is going to be relatively similar to last year. And then with some of the changes that the government made, it's no longer a 3-year, it's a 2-year. I can't give you a dollar amount, but I think something to be aware of is the cumulative impact of the weighted moving average. Over the last few years, as we were growing, anywhere from 1 to 3%, there were significant, we would have years where we'd have hundreds of kids that were not funded, but we don't anticipate this year just because we're not growing quite as fast this particular year. So, we could have used the way moving average when we were really growing quickly, but theoretically, this is where that formula makes things a little more predictable. We wouldn't anticipate, unless something strange happens with enrollment or the funding, we wouldn't anticipate having a big impact. But just be mindful of the cumulative impact. He wasn't in the system 2-3 years ago, then we're always behind, if that makes sense.
Yep, I appreciate that. I think over the years we've certainly used our reserves to, but I think just having accurate information versus numbers are floating out. What there are in terms of unfunded students, and I think often the base grant isn't enough. There wasn't an increase to base funding, and that's the piece that we need to, I think, focus on, is that we need more base grant funding increase so that we can support our students with and the support staff that they need. So it's not necessarily we're missing so many students, it's that increase to base funding is important.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to articulate it, because I think you're bang on. And for a couple years, there were some increases to base grant, but weighted moving that has really shifted, and we haven't seen the kind of increases to the base grant that we need, which is the largest, most important grant in the entire budget, and that's presenting real challenges for us. Yeah, well said.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none? Oh, Robbie, yes.
I'm just going to do a quick rewind. Spanish numbers to echo your sense being positive. The transition was incredibly positive. We have about 256 students currently enrolled in the program at West Cooley, which means we're up 10 from last year's enrollment for Spanish. So an incredibly successful transition.
That's it. Thank you. All right, we will move to 8.1, Assurance Priorities Report. Mike.
Great, thanks. And I will do folks here in the say, hey, can you get us this information? And our staff is really good. Avis got me some information, because the question I had was just wanted to make sure that we did for subs for those assessments. And Andrea, I can confirm that yes, we did set money aside. We were able to do that in the budget. That was pretty important to us. So yeah. So, and I'm sure Katie got you that information very quickly, so thanks to both of those folks. Okay, we'll hit some assurance priority report. Again, I'm not gonna go through everything. I'm just gonna hit a couple highlights, and of course, if you have questions or anything you wanna talk about between the team here, we're happy to answer it, because this clearly is not all me. I just get to be the spokesperson for this awesome stuff. So we'll start off with under resource allocation, and this has been mentioned a few times, like thanks for the Mindful Munchie programs, and it's just a really, you can go back on the first page there, right there. Of the service that schools do to the community and how much our community partners help out, and our schools really are hubs of the community, and families and folks really rely on us. So that's work really to be proud of. Going into diverse learning pathways, but approximately 400 students were in work experience over the summer, which is our number ever. So that's just fantastic and a great way to support kids on their journey and whatever pathways they're exploring from a work. We'll go to professional growth, and yes, it was mentioned earlier, Erin Hercott's name is all over, you know, and she's doing great work. We've asked her to do a lot, and one of the challenges with budgets that's challenging is some of the folks that do some of this. Erin, in some areas she work, in another she's just doing that. But I know one that she's very passionate about, the teacher induction and mentorship program. They start and see those themes that you throughout of assessment and reporting back. Those have been themes that the board has heard about and work that Erin has really taken a lead on. So really appreciate that work. And, you know, that opportunity to mentor and work with beginning teachers is absolutely awesome and one of the ways we support them. Then we're going to skip down to learning supports and where we talk about safe and caring culture. It just talks about the 5125 club bank. And it's one of those things that I really enjoy. I mean, obviously, because I'm the superintendent, not because I've been with the division for 25 plus years. So it really is a privilege. And what I really enjoy is you see the impact that this division has on people. Like, it means a lot. And so yes, students are at the core of the work we do, but it's also important to remember how much this division means to the staff too. And you have people who have worked time really positively impacted their lives. And that's really what tonight's about. Then when we go to successful early start, about this already, so our EAP programs are good numbers. We're really happy about that. And if any families are watching or wondering, we run fantastic early learning programs. We have people working in those programs. Kids who are part of our early learning programs, it gives them a tremendous advantage from a learning perspective, from a social perspective when they go into kindergarten, grade 1. So we'd love to still have some spots available, and our folks do good work, there's no question. Then staff wellness, I know Robbie spoke a lot about a number of the initiatives and work that they're doing. I just wanted to highlight the Welcome Back Breakfast. I always greatly enjoy the Welcome Back Breakfast and really appreciate the board, you know, with the vision, you know, let's have something that's casual but brings people together, gives them an opportunity to connect, and so really appreciate that. And then really the work of the folks in the Ed Center show up at 6 in the morning to set up barbecues and chairs and all that sort of stuff and serve pancakes. And so really just an awesome way to start the year and really enjoy it. So that's it on assurance priorities and questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mike. Are there any questions for Mike today? Craig?
A couple of comments. First of all, thank you for it, but I'm glad to see that we're working on a policy on opting in. And I've had a lot of positive from parents about how they appreciate the opting in instead of opting out. So sometimes the newspaper gives negative viewpoints all the time, but there are a number of parents that really appreciate the movement to opting in those classes. I would just like to take this time to thank the admin team for their reports over the last 4 years. I've learned a lot. Sometimes I felt they were a little long, but hey, I can talk a long time too, so as everybody knows. But I really would like to thank the admin team for the keeping us on top of what's going on in the division. I think that's really important because then we can answer questions or we can direct people to who they need to talk to. So just hopefully some of us will be back next after October, but I think that, yeah, just thank you for all the work you do and your support and the people that support you in your offices. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Craig. Any other questions? All right, seeing none. You can keep on moving forward through your reports. What's the next? Donations and support.
Yeah, and one of the great things to do, because the connections we have community all the time. I'm a broken record when I talk about this one, but we are just so incredibly fortunate. You can see the two donations up there and the support that we receive from the community. And this doesn't capture everything. I just do for kids without our community partners. There's no question about it. And I know this board has been very intentional about making sure to cultivate those connections, and it's certainly appreciated. Thank you. And thank you to those folks who provide those support and donations.
Now 8.3, acknowledgements of excellence.
Yeah, another fun one, get to brag about some of the things that our schools do. And again, I won't read everything. First thing that jumps out, I mean, you've got Kona Ice showing up and helping out with treats and making it an exciting startup. And Mike Mountain Horse, you know, when you read the report, you can see it's been an interesting year for them because, of course, a number of their students, you know, were in the new boundary for West Cooley Station Elementary School, so they have less students than they normally had, which is, you know, there's lots of positives to that, but it's also hard to lose members of your community and your kids, so that's always a challenge. But the building's a little less full, and they've got some classroom space, which is nice. And then you will note, Andrea, in a couple of these, they talk about Terry Fox and what they're doing for Terry Fox. And just so you know, that was, and I know that's near and dear to your heart and all the trustees, that was graders said together that they were going to put more emphasis over the next few years on you know, Terry Fox, and making sure that that's something that it's always been something that's important, but really to really rehone and refocus on that. And you can see that in the reports. I can see it just walking in the schools. So I wanted to share that with you because I know you'd be very excited about that. And certainly Mike Mountain Horse, a very successful walk slash run slash event for Terry Fox, or I think it's happening actually, maybe even as we speak. So yeah, and then General Stewart, yeah, talk about a school that you know, does incredible things. Again, very much a hub of the community. And I just love, like, we got art night, math night, and we got the Winston Churchill Math Club coming to General Stewart. And I chuckle because the Winston Churchill Math Club, they always have something on the go, and really appreciate that. And I mean, yoga night and all those sorts of things, bringing the community together. And then as you read through all the opportunities, whether it be concerts, whether it be celebrations of learning, connecting with the Polytechnique, sports, their lip sync competition, all those opportunities for kids that I think, yes, at the core of what we do in education is about what happens in the classroom, but it's so much more, and those are great examples. And you know, the folks at General Stewart are really intentional about doing that. And of course, they also had their annual Terry Fox. Yeah, so that's those two schools.
Excellent, thank you. Andrea.
Heartwarming that those are my two staffs. Sorry, I'm gonna start. Anyway, maybe later.
First, full circle ending. Yeah. Any other comments or questions? All right. Thank you, Mike. You can move on to 8.4, calendar of events.
Great, thanks. And if there's anything, I know, Kristen, I'll ask you to check. I think we have an error on don't have a committee of the whole there. So we'll just check that and get that corrected. Yeah, and otherwise, a few things happening. 5125 banquet is happening. Of course, we have our Orange Shirt Day on the Monday the 29th, and then no school on the 30th. And then you'll see there's a bunch of events coming up, a bunch of committees, and of course, we do have an election for trustees coming up. So once that's done, then they'll be swearing in and the beginning of the orientation process and all that sort of thing. So if anybody sees any errors, though, let us know and we'll get them corrected right away.
Okay. One date that I would like to add is we have a Zone 6 meeting, and that will be online. And I believe that's 8:30. Am I right in that, Allison? Can you recall? We can email that. We don't need to debate that right now. Yeah, okay, thank you. Allison.
If I can add, for October 29th is a 6 orientation, and it will be from 9 to 12. It is open to any trustees, whether they're new or returning trustees, and it will be virtually to 12, and that's to prepare trustees who Zone 6, preparing them for the AGM, which the November 5th, we have the AGM on here, but that time needs to be adjusted to start at 10:30. And if it could say Zone 6 meeting and AGM on November 5th, and it starts at 10:30, and it is here at the Education Center. So October 29th for the zone orientation, and then November 5th, the AGM to switch time. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Are there any other additions? Okay, seeing none, we will move on. 8.5 World Teachers Day.
Okay, and just wanted to make note and say a huge thank you. So World Teachers Day is held annually on October 5th since 1994, and that's a global recognition of teachers. We know how exceptional our staff are in this division. We know how exceptional our teachers are, and we're just for them. Also, an interesting time to be celebrating this and acknowledging this. We all know that there's, you know, the potential for labor disruption coming up, and so I think that I guess this takes on an extra reminder of just how important our teachers are and how much we appreciate the work that they do. So on behalf of the board, executive council, everybody in Lethbridge School Division communities, one of the cool things about being the superintendent is sometimes you get to speak on behalf of folks and just say thank you, teachers, for all appreciated. You have an incredible impact every day, and your work makes a very big difference. There's no question about that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Are there any other comments? I know certainly we as a board, I know I can speak on behalf of the board to say that I echo those sentiments, and we are certainly grateful for the teachers and all staff that create our division family, and who we are wouldn't be without your unique and important and essential roles. You serve kids, you lift kids up, you guide them to success, and you also serve each other as staff, fellow staff, and you serve our families and our community members. So thank you for all that you do. I know October 5th is the calendar date, but certainly these things can be acknowledged and celebrated every day. Thank you for who you are and what you do. All right, we will move on to 9.1, trustee recognition. This is under the board chair reports. So 2025 is upon us, and nomination period closed on September 22nd at noon. And as of that time, we have 2 board members who will not be running for re-election for this next term. And those are trustee Andrea Chuck, who we have had the pleasure to serve alongside this past term. You've served 1 term for 2021 to 2025 after an incredible teaching career with Lethbridge School Division. And we will also be saying farewell to trustee Tyler Demers. Tyler has served 5 terms for Lethbridge School Division. He has served 2004 to 2007, 2007 to 2010, 2013 to 2017, 2017 to 21, and then finally this term 2021 to 2025. Oh, my apologies for a typo there. Trustees are an essential presence in the education landscape, and we serve as advocates for students, advocates for public education, for our staff, and we are essential voice on behalf of stakeholders to the system locally, to our staff through our superintendent, to local municipal government, and also to provincial government, and sometimes on some levels to federal government as well. We policy that supports students and provides the framework for good governance and good and solid operations. And we also ensure that our policies and the financial oversight that we have when we do budget reflects the context of our community. And so certainly we sit in a valuable position, and it's a privilege to serve where we serve. And so I would just like to take this time to thank trustees Andrea, Chuck, and Demers for their service with Lethbridge School Division this term. And I would also like to thank all trustees who've served with me this term. We have certainly grown as a board. We have learned much as a board, and we have each brought our strengths to the table. And I have certainly appreciated the ways that each of the trustees that I've been partnered with has encouraged me and challenged me to grow. And so I thank you for that. And so I would just open the mic at this time if there are other trustees who would wish to express gratitude or recognition right now. Craig.
I'd like to thank all the trustees. And I agree, as our superintendent has said, we've grown together. We were not as united at the first, but we've grown together. We have good debate. We support one another. I'd like to thank Andrea for her work. She is a caring individual, one that at her heart is about the students and the staff, and I think that should be a priority for us. So I thank her for that. I would just like to thank all of the trustees for their input, and although we didn't get, as Mike has pointed out, we have done some good stuff. We still have some stuff we need to get done, and hopefully that'll continue with the new board, but thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Jenny.
Thank you, Christine, for making that tribute for this board and eloquently speaking to the work that's being done. And I appreciate Craig's added comments about the learning and the growth, and that has been my experience, is a lot of learning and a lot of growth and much reflection. And as I've spent the time reflecting as we are moving to the end of this term, I've thought individually about each trustee and the strengths. And I remember in one of the orientation, the question, what is everybody, that's their superpower? And I've seen each of those superpowers. Some Tyler said common sense. He's not here, but Tyler is like on the list. He and logic, conversation, levelness, and I've often reflected as we've listened to each other, with each other, even disagree with each other, on those talents that each of us at early beginning, and I've seen those and other talents. So appreciate other bring people and specific for saying goodbye to Andrea at this table and to Tyler. I've thought a lot about both of them and appreciate compassion and love and willingness to put in all the efforts that you can find, Andrea, and the warmth and presence you bring to every time at school. And they come home and tell me, there was a school trustee today, and they tell me, oh, it's cool to you. So, and we should live a little more like Andrea. So thank you for the love and the compassion and also the voice of you. Hard for some advocacy that is near and dear to your heart, and taking that passion to ways to share and active. And you've done important work, and your legacy will continue. beyond the time that you sit in that chair. Thank you. Done. If Tyler was here, I would share more directly those words with him, but I learned a lot from Tyler. Valued his input, valued him meeting me equally on things we don't agree on, and really his ability to hold his ground when there's things that we disagree, and to break through my stubbornness at times. So that's not always easy to do. So kudos to Tyler and his ability to hold his ground in a conversation. Tyler brings a lot to the table too, and I appreciate the work that he's done. And he has 18 years experience, so he's done well. He's left a legacy. Also continue on beyond his time here. Same.
Thank you. Allison.
Poor Andrea will be bawling by the time she gets to the mic. So I want to echo the similar comments that my fellow trustees have shared. I think we walked in here 4 years ago as strangers, and we may have known each other in different ways, but we all brought our own perspective to the table. We've had great discussion, great debate, came to some amazing decisions together. Looking true governance when we sat at the table and we knew somebody was maybe on a different side than we were, and how we could work together, you know, unite with some of those pieces. And that's true governance, really. Like, we're looking at how can we get to where we honor and recognize each person that comes to the table. I think that we have certainly, through lots of great debate and challenges and everything, we've certainly come to that at this table, and I appreciate that from each and every one of you. I think for Tyler, the years of dedicated service that he put into this board, he was here through and through, and he certainly has served his time, and I think that should be commended for everything that he has put into Lethbridge School Division. Certainly left his own legacy, common sense perspective, and sometimes it was like, where are you coming from? And it was like, oh yeah, that makes sense where he's coming from. So it was great to have him here. And then Andrea, I know coming to the board table and governance was not your specialty, but your heart was certainly at this table every single day. You went through a lot in the last 4 years when you were on this board. And I think we journeyed together with you through those things, and I've grown by sitting beside you and being able to reach out and have conversation with you, just getting different perspective from you. And I'll miss having you here and being able to, I know I can still always reach out to you. We'll miss a lot not having you here. So the new board will look different than this board, and I look forward to hearing who's on the new board and what direction that they plan to do with everything. But thank you to everybody around this table for the uniqueness that you brought to the table, and the debates that we had, and the decisions that we did make in good governance. So thank you.
Andrea. Thank you, Allison.
After all of that, I don't know how I can speak, but thanks for moving in close. I know you have hard copy calendars that are so full, like so full. They started off neat, and then they got progressively not as neat. And in cleaning out Mom and Dad's house, see my dad, a lifelong learner. So I wrote a few things that I wanted to say. It just feels like yesterday. And so Mom and Dad wouldn't have had the internet, right? So I'll never forget refreshing the results and going, oh dear, oh dear. And then knowing that they wouldn't know. So driving over and, you know, toasting and being so proud. And it's been my absolute privilege to work on behalf of the students and staff of this division and get to know all of you because, as we say, all our superpowers really. Trustees and all of admin council, you've been amazing, and Kristen and Garrett. I'm gonna have to put on my reading glasses because I don't want to miss anything. Thank you to all the schools that welcomed me in. I think I got to be a liaison for 6 schools, and amazing to see all the gifted educators in all. And my husband Richard for helping me raise 3 amazing 4th generation teachers. And I know all the teachers of Alberta make education look up-and-comers like little Leo, who's 3. And you probably all remember sitting here as Courtney was in labor, and I said, the board meeting lasted as long as her labor. And was born, so you all sat there with me through that, so that's huge. Sorry. And all of the committees, oh my goodness, like Morag has needed to support me through many committees, and Joel and all of the Indigenous education team, and community engagement, Garrett helping so much with the ICE scholarships, and Kyle, that's something you'll be learning all about, and how wonderful it is to see all those students come with those projects, and just seeing how they impact children as well. And the spirit of 50 sitting, well, I kept that one all to myself. I'm sorry, for like 4 years, and getting to sit with Tyler on that as well, and the importance of valuing and making them know how important they are to the lives of children. And the tech team for bailing mostly Jenny and I out every single meeting with our computers. I think we were running in there. So Johnny and Jesse and Cam and everyone who's helped us through that. And admin council, such a privilege to work with you and all of the trustees. I've grown to love and respect all of you. I wish I could continue, but as you can see, like, a lot happened in the last 4 years, and you walked beside me. And in my absence, sorry, I really want to get this right. Please continue to advocate for the everyday what? Kindergarten. Continue to smile with your teeth when you take pictures, and most importantly, lead with love. No matter what a child's background is, no matter what their needs are, no matter how they identify, they're a valued member of our division. I know you will look out for all of them. So thank you. You've all been amazing. I've learned something from all of you. I often say that I love all of you. And I have you all on my phone. I appreciate everyone around this table so much for everything that you brought in and work towards the kindergarten. You know, our Taylor Swift approach to trying to get that through. She's got her bracelet on.
Kindergarten,
I love that. I love that.
we got it.
When you get the first years right, all the other years roll out. So thank you for listening to that. And I'm sorry that was so long. Thank you for all of your kind words, because you all deserve kind, because you have been amazing and walked me through some really hard times. So thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. I've certainly been spoken that Andrea is a fierce advocate for early learning, for inclusion for all students, for our English language learners, for our Indigenous students. It has been alongside you, and on behalf of the board and on the division, I do have a question that I would like to present to you now. And for everyone, it is a glass apple. The end of this your term with this board, and so thank you, Andrea, for your 4 years of service to our division in your role as a trustee. Thank you.
Did you say one for Tyler? Yes. Oh, good. Oh, yeah. Because this is his dream, is this apple.
Just Andrea?
Can you imagine? I'll try and smile. Okay.
With all the trustees that are here today, please. And just so everyone is aware, I do have a personalized apple for Tyler as well, even though he sends his regrets to missing his final board meeting today. And Tyler was certainly, we talked about common sense with Tyler, and that's how he rolled. He was a straight shooter. He brought financial literacy to the table. He brought for sustainable financial planning, advocated for technology, and I'm not really aware of this, but he was a fierce advocate for fair wages for our support staff. And so it was an honor to serve on the negotiation committee with Tyler. And so we will be sure to deliver Tyler his apple. Mike.
I'll just wrap quickly and wanted to say on behalf of the division, on behalf of executive council, on all our employees, all members of the Lethbridge School Division community, thank you so much to this board for everything you've done. Being a trustee is a very challenging, very rewarding role. It is in many ways not a job, it's a vocation, a calling, and you've certainly bought. The impact you've had has been significant. We appreciate your leadership, your guidance, your collaborative spirit, your tireless, all members of the community. This is a board that has worked very hard, has been very, and I think has really been focused on listening and connecting, and then into action. So it's been absolutely wonderful to work with all of you. Greatly appreciated, and on behalf of the entire division, just wanted to say, really critical to have great trusteeship, and it makes a huge difference. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. All right, we will move on to 9.2 City Governance SPC, providing for you an update on our advocacy continuation of the Joint City of Lethbridge and Lethbridge School Boards Committee. On July 24th, 2025, I presented to the SPC City Hall, and we had, it's more of a casual conversation than a presentation actually, on the feasibility of continuing on with this committee. Just for context for people who are unsure, city administration have recommended that this committee be disbanded, and certainly there are some councillors and there are all trustees on Holy Spirit School Division, Franco, as well as Lethbridge School Division, wanted to continue, and so we've just been having an ongoing conversation what this needs to look like and how best to move forward, and certainly wanting this to continue to be fully present as partners in this committee. And so I had conversation with councillors on the Governance Standing Policy on July 24th. And at the conclusion of the discussion, the following motion, it's before you, was carried, and it was carried 3-1, that the Governance Standing Policy refer the documents presented by Ms. Light to the Joint Committee of the City of Lethbridge and Lethbridge School Boards to have them provide the following: the feasibility and formalizing the Joint Committee as a committee of council. 1, a proposed mandate and governance structure, and 2, potential costs and resource implications associated with formalization, along from the committee for recommendation to a governance standing policy committee meeting prior to the end of Q2 in 2026. Information requested at the governance SPC. 1 was for the city clerk's office to provide source documentation Joint City School Boards Committee on joint committee structure. Came out during that conversation that we had really asked for it to be a committee of council, and it came out at this SPC. What we were probably looking for was a joint committee, and so we did request that information. It was not provided in the moment, and so city clerk's office said that they would provide that following. And then for myself, Chair Christine Light, to provide context on how other municipalities organize governance relations between councils and boards. And so I have emailed all the board chairs in Alberta just to seek how they connect with their municipal governments. And I've begun to receive some responses, and it's certainly interesting and good information to learn about the context of different communities. Some are mixed urban and rural, and some are wards and some aren't. And so we are very clean space of just being within city boundaries, no wards, and our connection with council. Certainly another was also appreciated. Initially, the decision was supposed to be made and voted on at the first council meeting following 2025. That was encouraged to not happen because it would be unfortunate for a new council without context to vote on something as important as this. And so I was quite happy to see agree to defer it to 2026. And for your awareness, after the meeting on July 24th, approximately weeks later, I did follow up with the city clerk's office to request the information that we had asked for as to what is the documentation that a structure of a joint committee, excuse me, is from. And I was told that I would receive it by the committee date. And so we had conversation of the desire to have that information prior to the committee. And so the day prior to the committee meeting, I received or the joint committee, excuse me, received an email with information. They Robert's Rules of Order. So that is what we received. And so we will continue the advocacy work. And we did have a joint Lethbridge and Lethbridge School Boards Committee meeting on September 10th. I know Trustee Purcell has pulled that from the consent agenda, so we'll be able to talk about that. And so this update was provided there, and the subcommittee is planning to meet again following the election to discuss steps and then the plan to present to the SPC for the new council to vote on in 2026. So that is my update. Are there any questions for me? All right, seeing none. Move on to point 3, election 20, and I apologize. And you can see that the subcommittee has a new draft terms of reference for the joint committee. And so that is attached to this update. And certainly it's been a good exercise to refocus work and ground the work of this committee in governance and the lane of governance. And so that is there before you to review. 9.3 election 25. Election period is October 8th to October. And I know that on the city election site, they'll be releasing specific dates and locations to come. So people can keep their eyes out for so here, you can find information on the role of trustee for office, forms, and important Lethbridge School Division dates for candidates on the following links. I have our Lethbridge School Division link, the City of Lethbridge link, the Alberta School Boards Association link, and I do need to apologize. I did not have Public School Boards Association on there, so that is under public-schools.ab.ca is you will find Public School Boards Association of we can amend this online and make sure that that's on there for information for anybody running for trustee or people not running to know what a trustee does. Are there any questions? All right, we will now move on to 11.1. We have an international trip approval waiting for LCI. Front.
So Dave Fletcher from LCI is requesting approval to take approximately 44 grade 9 to 12 students on an international trip to Italy from April 3rd to April 12th of 2026. Information regarding the educational benefits of the trip and proposed itinerary are attached. The estimated cost per student is approximately $5,200 in Canadian funds. And welcome, Dave.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. An extra bonus for being here for Andrea's last day. I just feel like we just keep the tributes going, and I can bring messages from all the teachers still out in the field and talk about your legacy of compassion that's still alive out there. And but anyway, I want to just, I know you guys are super busy and got lots of, I won't take a heap of time from you. But yeah, we got a trip to Italy planned. My last trip, I said, okay, that's going to be the last. Turn it over to other people, and then a group of grade 12s came to me, and I, like every time I think I'm out, I think drag me. But this is quite the trip. It's going to be very beautiful. It's an immersive Italian trip. So rather than some of the past trips that I've done where it's been a frantic rate and you're flying through different countries, this one is very immersive into the culture of Italy and everything else. So we've got a class planned. We've got a gelato taste planned. We've got different industries like glass blowing and leather making that we're going to be doing, and a whole bunch of the trip. We'll just very quickly take a look at some of the sites. We're going to be landing in Milan. We'll go through northern Italy over to Verona and check out a balcony, and then over to Venice. Go through the canals and take a look at all the wonderful sights of Venice. And then we're over to Florence. You can just be zip, zip, zip along where I'm way ahead of you now. Yeah. And then from Florence, we're going to be doing a tour of Tuscany. So we'll be going to Pisa and, of course, doing some goofy pictures with the tower and doing a olive farm. There's a few sites we're hoping to hit, like Senna, some of these smaller medieval communities with a real more unique flair and less touristy than some of the other ones you might see. Another part of the Italian experience, I want to be able to talk to the kids about World War II and do a tribute to Canadian soldiers who passed away in the liberation of Italy. So we'll be going to Monte Cassino, where where we'll be adopting a and paying tribute to them and doing it at that site. Then going down to Pompeii, doing an archaeological exploration of that amazing site. This is the abbey on top of the mountain on top of Monte. A beautiful view that was destroyed in World War II. And so then Pompeii, which I'm sure you know all about. And we head up to Rome, and Rome will be going to Gladiator School, and we'll be going to all these sites, of course, Trevi Fountain, the Pantheon, Colosseum, and the Forum. And then the next day we'll head to Vatican City, and hang out with the new Pope, and check out all the beautiful sights of Italy before heading back home. And that's the trip in a nutshell. The cost of these tours is going up and up each time. Oh, here's some more pictures of we're in Italy with the LCI crew. I did a number of shopping around for different tours and trips. The other one with EF came in at $57,000, and that doesn't include tips. This one came in at $5,400, and that includes tips. So usually tips is something on top of that, and it's about $300 more for the kids. So it came in around the $5,000 range. Yes, it's a lot of money, but then you look in comparison, and I know the band trip's looking at going to California, and theirs is $3,500 just for a 5-day trip to California. So this is, as you know, all these international companies like World Strides and EF, comprehensive insurance with a lot of this covered 24-hour emergency services, doctors on hand in all the places we go to. We have a private coach who will be on the whole time, mitigating some of the concerns with traveling through Europe. And yeah, and then the only thing the kids will have to really deal with is just their lunches and spending money. So apart from that initial fee, it's pretty inclusive, that price. Any questions?
Thank you very much. I will open it up to questions. Andrea?
I just wanted to say my children loved you as a teacher. And I want to talk about your legacy of writing to famous Canadians and getting their picture in their office and having that all around your room. That's and thank you for taking children on these international trips. It's something they never, ever forget. And I know you put a lot of work into it, and we actually ran into each other on an international trip,
Yeah,
which was they just two trips collided.
It is a lot to put these trips together, but when I visit with students I see out in the community, or they come back to Lethbridge and they've been on one of the trips, that's the only thing they want to talk about is the trip and how much they learn and how much they get on these trips.
Absolutely. And I just wondered about fundraising and how, if you group fundraising.
We're looking at doing a bottle drive to help offset some of the costs, and a bake sale. So nothing too huge, but hopefully enough to take a little bit of the bite out of the big amount.
Jenny?
And I wish you well.
Thank you.
This looks like an awesome vacation, tour, learning experience, all of it rolled into one. I noticed on one of your slides that this one that you've chosen provides for 2 meals a day, which is fantastic. And
in some instances, 3 meals a day, because we have lunch and some other food.
Yeah, excellent, so excellent. What a wonderful opportunity for these kids. I did notice as well that you have a discount code that leaves you with just 1 week to
No, we've talked to them and extended that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say just September 30th for your deposit. Is that gonna be tight?
It's a pretty tight turnaround, yeah.
Extend that. That's
They've
excellent.
actually definitely now.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So if I try that, it might work.
Yes.
My question was, you've included students from grade 9 to 12. Is that what you've done in the past, included the grade 9 students as well?
Yeah.
And 44 students, do you ever come to a situation where you have more than that want to join?
Yeah, like initially threw this out to students, I think we had 80 students saying they were interested in going, right? So how many end up signing up is you never know. If we hit 32 students, that's wonderful. But yeah, a lot of interest. Whether they can actually go ahead with it is another question.
And then I typically like to just chaperones, and I think our international trip ratio is at 10 to 1 or 8 to 1? 10 to 1.
Yeah.
Is that the ratio you're trying to maintain for the trip?
To knock the price down more, we usually down to 8 this trip to help lower the price to a degree. I think it equates to about $60 per kid is what it reduces.
Thank you.
Yep.
My question for you, I can't find it in here right now, so perhaps it is in here. For staff attending this trip, is there subsidy for the staff? Do the students pay for the staff in whole? How does that payment break down for the staff?
So the 4 or however many people are responsible for the trip itself, that fee is a part of the cost for the.
Thank you. Sounds like a phenomenal trip. Thank you for presenting the students with this experience. I'm looking for a motion. Andrea.
I that the CI trip to Italy in April 2026 be approved by the board on the condition that all division policies and procedures are strictly followed, and with the understanding that future travel advisories and/or vaccination requirements may affect the trip's ability to proceed.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion? And that's carried.
Well,
Have a
that's fantastic.
fantastic time.
Thank you so much. And to the board, best of election.
All right, we will now move on to 11.2, our year-end committee reports and terms of reference. So every year, the Board of Trustees confirm the committee terms of references for our board committees. And so the committee terms of reference and year-end reports for the 2024-2025 school year are included here in the agenda package. So what we'll do is we will move through each committee. The chair of the committee, who is the individual who wrote the report or is presenting the report, will speak to it. If the chair of that committee is not present, then the second trustee on the committee, I will ask you to present the report. Following the presentation of the report, then please just move that either the board approve the terms of reference as presented or move that the board approve the terms of reference as amended, whether there is amendments already offered within the report or if amendments come up during the meeting. All right, we will begin with our facilities committee reports. And Allison, I think this one's you.
I see your name on there too. So I didn't submit this, so I'm not sure what he may or may not have changed on it in terms of the terms of reference. In terms of the facilities committee annual summary, you can see there that major capital projects and construction updates are there. I know we've certainly shared throughout the meeting today lots of the new school, the modernizations, the planning funds, modular classrooms that were added as well. We had our 3-year capital plan and with the updated capital plan there as well. One thing this year was the accelerator program. And I don't know that he talked about that in here, but that was certainly one piece. We also had the West Side study presented to us as a board that assisted us with making some of the decisions. And again, with the terms of reference, I'm not sure if there was anything updated. Kyle's saying no, there wasn't. So I do not recall the terms of reference coming to the committee to talk about as that. So
Okay.
they're the same. Kyle's letting me know. So
Okay.
thanks.
So So will you present a motion to approve as presented then, please?
Maybe. I would like to move that the terms of reference for the facilities committee be approved as presented.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? And those in favor? It's carried. Kristen, did you note that Andrea Andrzejczyk left the room? Okay. Just to make note of that at this time.
I don't know if this is a point of order, I just have a. Do we usually go through terms of reference at our organizational meeting? Is usually when we approve terms of reference?
No, it's always at the first public board meeting of,
It's at the
sorry,
organizational
of the year.
meeting, which is typically the first public board meeting of the year, except for an election year.
But typically, because we're not selecting committees today, because I think historically, it used to be the end of September, and then when we moved to have 2 board meetings in September, to have an organizational meeting that second Tuesday of the month, then we did move it, correct me if I'm recalling this wrong, we moved it to the organizational only so people would have the terms of reference information. But because we're not having an organizational meeting, it is happening at the September board meeting.
Okay, because at the organizational meeting is when we, what's the word? Accept the committees.
We accept the
And
committees.
with that, usually that's when we make the motion to accept the terms of reference, because that's when we make changes to terms of reference, would be at the organizational meeting.
Mike? No, I looked back. Let me
Yeah,
look.
just looking at last year, yes, if you look at the, looking at the organizational meeting agenda, address appointments to committees at that meeting. So yes, you go through all of the different committees. And then, so that was September 10th last year. Then at September 24th meeting, we did go through year-end committee reports in terms of reference. You know, but it's a really good question in terms of when those two things happen. And in particular, terms of reference, they do get approved at this meeting, but the reality is one of our first things in our terms of reference is to review the terms of reference. And the last couple years, we have come back to the board with changes to it in November, December. That's part of the reason why in the package we had the wrong terms of reference, but we got that updated. So just as an aside, from an organizational perspective, I think we would really like, Kristen and I can work on putting together sort of an appendix in section 200 for our terms of reference. So we have put it in the different agendas. It's very easy to miss because like you said, you're exactly right, Jenny. We can't policy advice in terms of, because they didn't review the reference October, whatever, first week. Reference had already been approved, and then we went and then made changes, and then the board approved them again. So,
Yeah, and I think that one of the challenges that it has is, I mean, reference a living document, right? And so the committee can put forward to the board a recommended amendment to for the coming on of when to review. I certainly would, a new board being sworn, approving terms when they don't necessarily have the context of a committee, right? So I think it's in the first year on a committee during, if there are clear need for amendment, then they certainly can bring that to the board. Jenny?
I think part of my question, and the reason it's on my forefront of my mind, is we also have down the way, we have another action item, which is approving our policy that goes over organizational meeting. In there, it talks at the organizational meeting is when we validate standing or ad hoc committees. And so maybe question then, because to me to validate is accepting the terms of reference. Would mean that is how you validate the committee.
Yeah, certainly. But at this time, we haven't passed that yet. Right? So we're not running on that written expectation.
I'd have
Great,
to
so then that
review
would,
our policy then. Okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll proceed.
okay.
for now.
Thank you. Okay, let us move forward with Division Wellness Committee. Andrea.
I know I asked for the terms because I was only on last year, not the year before. So I asked for one to be sent to me, the terms of reference, because I didn't have it on my computer, but Morag's brought it to my attention. It's not the current one. I'm sorry, it's old. So,
Are we able to pull the current one up?
yes, sorry, Kristen. And because I was not on it the year before, I assumed that it probably had been updated. So I asked for that one. So I am sorry. And thus showing why we need a place where all
No,
of the terms of
yeah.
reference go to live.
Every summer I go back to the September before to look for the terms. Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Right, because if I'm on the committee for a while, I keep it on my computer and work on it, but I'm sorry because I hadn't been on it. So, Morag is just looking for it. But while you are.
Certainly. Yep. Would you like to present the report, or would you
Sure,
like me to move
sure.
forward and then we come back to this?
Sure, well, we can talk about it and then that can be up. So, sorry, I need to scroll up till I find it here. So it was a very successful year with the Wellness Committee. We had really good attendance every time. We met 3 times that year. Morag and Carly very much supporting us with getting agendas out. And so we had some highlights of working on staff wellness, the Send Before 6. We talked about things like that. The counseling update. The focus of the year was on creating safe space for all students. The nurse practitioners, that was wonderful to have them in the school. And at our final meeting, we had Bob Marthiansen from the U of L come and share his passion for working with the nurses. And there is a whole host of the things that they worked in the schools on, starting with the Mindfulness Mondays. Nutrition update, it's wonderful how the different nutrition grants are used. I just put one example in there of Lene Fife and how she uses it and how important they are to our schools, because a child who is fed is a child who is going to learn better that day. We also learned how Victoria Park had used their grant, and over the year we had several principals come and talk about how they use the grant, so very important. At the time that I wrote this, Mindful Munchies was a little up in the air, so really happy to report that they will be providing lunches through that program this coming year, so thankful for that. Talked about how Victoria Park used their grant, and we heard about how they have the great space where kids come to play games and connect, and then Health Champs meet, and there are and Deanna Presley talking about the amazing race and how that captures all the staff's attention and gets them started for the year. Going right through to Connect for Wellness when they had a record number of 716 postcards that went out at the end of the year. Digital wellness, that grant sadly came to an end, but Sydney and Kaysen really left a really good database for teachers to use, and so forever grateful to them for that. And Courtney Epp, always lovely to have her at the table, and especially talking about the things that happen through the summer for students. I think that's so important. And so just in closing, Christina was on the committee as well, and we'd like to thank Morag and Carly for the amazing support and for everybody that really attended those meetings on a regular basis. It was wonderful. And again, I really apologize about the terms of reference. Just didn't have it on my computer, so I asked for it, and
Morag.
I did just send Kristen
Okay, thank you.
this year's, and we did make one amendment to it, which we don't have the amendment to
Okay,
it, but it's
okay.
essentially a duplicate of the one that we started the year with. And it just came through email. There we go.
Okay, perfect. And so did we decide how to proceed? Are we going to motion through each terms of reference?
Yes, we
Okay,
will.
all
Yeah.
right. So
May I
no
pause
need to
for
there.
Allison's hand? Is that? I'll go to Allison.
Just in response, I know Jenny was trying to find where she might find things, and she was referring to the potential new policy with second reading. Just to highlight our current policy 203.4.1, it does state in Regulation 1 that the terms of reference as approved annually by the at its organizational meeting. So just to assist, I know Jenny's left the room, but just to assist Jenny, if we are going to go with what policy states, which is proper process, it's at our organizational meeting according to our policy, unless we're going to step from our current policy.
Certainly. Thank you, Allison, for that. So I will look for direction from the board. Since this is not aligned with policy, we would need a motion to continue. I know the agenda has been approved and we have all submitted, but I would look to have this a clean decision. I will look for a motion to continue reading the annual reports and the committee terms of reference to complete at this board meeting. I would recommend that that would be done as we have a new board coming on. Craig.
I, I would move that, whatever you just said. The reason why is I think we need to amend our policy 203.1 to state in an election year, the terms of reference need to be set up in September. But I don't see any benefit of delaying any of this. So I would go ahead with that personally.
Thank you. So Jenny, just to update you, Allison found the policy that states we review year-end reports and terms of reference at the organizational meeting. No, say that again.
It's that we approve the terms of reference annually by the board at its organizational meeting.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
And just for the record, which policy is that? I'm just looking for it.
Just in our policy 203.4.1. I was just trying to assist Jenny. I know that she was searching, so certainly, I don't know, probably Jenny would want to speak to this further, but I just wanted to make sure that
Sure.
she had appropriate reference for something that I know she was looking for.
Yeah, so what I did recommend, Jenny, then, since it is in policy, that we have a motion, should we proceed to have a motion to continue to approve the terms of reference for our board committees. My recommendation was for this year to do it because we have an election and it could be all new trustees. And Craig has presented that motion. Up for discussion. Kristen, can you please pull up policy 203.4? And we'll just have it up on the screen for everyone to see.
hear.
Thank you.
He brought this forward, so
Oh,
I'd
no, we
certainly
will
like to
hear,
hear.
we will hear from her. Thank you. I'm just having the policy pulled up. Jenny.
The reason I brought it up, and it's funny because I pulled up the organizational policy and doesn't talk about it in that policy. But the reason I brought it up is because I actually question entirely the practice of annually having a motion for each of these terms of reference, because these terms of reference are largely debated and developed within those committees. And so to me, unless there's been an amendment or a change made to those, I don't know why we are annually reviewing them. Because I feel far more comfortable coming from a recent meeting of my committee to represent them and their ideas and their voices than I do right now, where it's been months since I've met with them. And if somebody was to test these terms of references, I would not feel comfortable representing that committee well in this position and in this and in these circumstances, because so to bring them forward for approval when that one's already been approved, we made changes to, say, for example, Policy Advisory Committee is the one I'm going to speak to today. We already made changes to it. We already approved it as a board. To me, there's not actually a need for us to, again, say, do we still approve this? Unless there's been a change made. That that's what we're doing at all, but it's in policy. So, I mean, right now is not the time to question annually approving these. In, so, I think myself, I would prefer to follow and terms of references at our organizational meeting. I is going to contest any of these terms. Somebody I wouldn't feel adequately prepared to represent my committee in that, having met with them last. In having to we did that at the beginning, so I haven't talked terms of reference committee since we changed in the fall. So on that.
Thank you. Any other points of discussion? I think in response to that, I appreciate where you're coming from on this. Another final meeting where, or any of those committee meetings where you, as a committee, are going to put forward an amendment to a terms of reference, I would that those notes are then brought forward to prepare a year-end report and the presentation of the terms of reference. It's an annual approval. Certainly, I can appreciate our mind not being in the context of 3 months ago, and just the nuances of those conversations. I would expect these would have the necessary notes and amendments written to present to the board this time. And, worth the conversation, especially when we come to our omnibus discussion, if that's something that would like amended as a board. Craig, and then Andrea.
I guess I'm coming from is, we just we've just quoted a policy 203 point something. Now, is that one of the old policies or is that a new one? Like, is that part of the new group of policies? Or, like, I'm
Sorry,
getting a little
sorry.
confused. Are we quoting something that we're going to replace as new policies? Or is that one that is still there from previous?
At this time, it's our current policy, right? So any decision that we make is based on current policy. We can't make a decision and say it's based on policy of the future. We could certainly amend a decision should the next policy be amended, and it be amended to a desire to change course for this board. But to be responsible and accountable to our policies, we need to make decisions based on the current standing policy. We have the omnibus coming up. It may or may not succeed a second or third reading, right? And so we can't make a decision based on what if in the future. We have to do it with what we have now.
Thank you.
Andrea.
I think it would be difficult for a new board to look at these terms of references and know to approve them or not. So I think it's in our best interest to approve them, but how can we move forward through that? Like, what wording do we need to have happen for us to move ahead with this process? And then that can be caught so that in an election year, it could be done at the September meeting.
Morag.
I'm familiar with sort of the organizational meeting process, and the last 3 boards I've seen come through when there are transitions. I mean, year to year, there are challenges with transitions because we have new. And so the goal, this is like, I'm being storyteller now of history, but the goal used to be, and I needed to always think it through with the Wellness Committee and the Indigenous Committee, that Indigenous Education Committee, essentially did was we reviewed the work that we did. We reviewed with the terms of reference in our final meeting of the year. We came up with recommendations of what we wanted to change. And then that would still be legacied forward to the first meeting of the year with the new staff who would be embarking upon the work, given that historical piece that the trustee would legacy or not sometimes, because trustees would change year to year sometimes too, right? So it would sometimes fall on our shoulders, the executive staff, to just make sure that whatever was recommended that year it would come forward, and it would be discussed with the group or the committee that was starting in September, October. And so I don't know if it's necessarily important, policy's not dictating that we do it right now. We identify those concerns, it goes in the minutes, it's highlighted from the terms of reference so that when we move forward September, October with the committee work, it's shared, right? So then at least the spirit of where the committee was going to go and the ideas that were suggested are talked about, and then maybe it isn't what the next committee has the flavor to proceed with, right? But at least then there's that continuity.
Allison.
Thank you, Jenny, for bringing this forward. It allowed me to go and look to see where we were at with policy. I think that for me, I haven't necessarily been convinced that there's a necessity to venture from what current policy states. I think that for me, a new board coming on, they're going to be provided with the current terms of reference. They can see from that were recommended from the previous one. Typically, the staff that would be involved in future committees would be similar. There may be some over, but I think that there's enough information going to have a basis of a terms of reference to start with, and I don't necessarily see a reason to venture from policy. Do I think we potentially need to look at changing this policy for election year? Absolutely, but I don't see a necessity today to venture from this policy. I do think that we need to approve the annual reports today so that information is there, or at least hear annual reports, but I think that just noting that information, ensuring that it's clear that those recommendations previous going forward is important.
Thank you, Allison. So I'm just looking something up on my laptop. Oh, yes, thank you, Ryan.
Just on a procedural matter, so we did have 11-1 pass through motion. So we do have the ability to rescind the motion if you were, if that is the chair or the board's desire to rescind that, and then defer the other terms of reference to another. If a motion to rescind, there is a secondary required, and the vote must be 2/3 of majority. And if you table the matter as well, you just need a with majority vote as well. So.
Okay, thank you very much. There's a motion on the table. I am looking to see if someone if Craig, are you wanting to rescind that motion? Or are you wanting that motion to stand?
I'm fine with rescinding it.
So I'm looking to the board, is the board wanting to table this to the organizational meeting? Sorry. So he has to do a motion to rescind?
Yeah, and then the secondary, because we have to rescind the facilities terms of reference.
Oh, I see.
Because we did vote to accept
Yes,
that.
we did. Okay. Okay, thank you. So I need a motion to rescind the facilities committee.
I move to rescind the facility committee terms of reference as previously voted on.
And I will open it up to discussion. Oh, yes, sorry, thank you. And seconds. Are you seconding that? Okay, sorry, we're getting a little sloppy. That's on me too. Okay, and I will open it up for discussion. Jenny?
I think I appreciated Morag's insight, that it is valuable for us to accepting the reports, the annual reports. Even though we're not approving the terms of reference, I think that there's still an action here for each of these committees, and that is accepting the annual report as written and as presented. And so I would propose maybe just to your motion, I don't know, probably has to rescind and then, because it was already approved. And then just make it, I think there's value. Okay, just rescind it, and then I think there is value for each of these items for us to still discuss them.
I thought I was just rescinding the motion, in terms of- not on the report. Yeah. Do we have to rescind the whole thing or just the terms of reference? Yeah.
The
so-
motions being presented are only for terms of reference. There isn't a motion to accept the report.
So that's all it's just rescinding the motion on the terms of reference, that's all. So go ahead.
Yeah, and the motion is always to accept the terms of reference and not the report. So this is now a presentation of report and is no longer an action item, is what this is. Okay. Historically not put forward a motion to accept the report. So yes, should a trustee want to put forward a motion to accept the report as certainly do that. Historically, the motion has only been to approve the reference as presented or amended. So certainly we can move these action items to information items and present the reports. And then there doesn't have to be a motion to accept the reports. Right? Because when we present our reports consent agenda. We do not put a motion forward to accept the report. We just accept the report.
As they live under consent agenda, but these ones are not found under consent agenda, so they have to have a motion, right? Because they're not under consent agenda. Typically, we would put them under consent, but anytime something's been pulled from consent, depending where we put it and what you attach to it, if it's just a recommendation, then that's just attaches a motion to it, whether we've done it historically or not, depending what, I mean, you can make whatever motion you want to the board. If you make a, it becomes an action item.
I would say put forward a motion to the associate superintendent's report, the superintendent report, the board chair report. Don't need a motion to accept the reports. Right? We get a monthly report from our superintendent. We don't vote to approve the report as presented. We take it as information.
Yeah.
So I would recommend that we take annual reports as information.
That we don't
And
attach
then
an action
when,
item.
yeah,
like
and
that.
then, yeah, we don't attach an action. I think that's fine. We can put it as an information item. And then as we move the terms of reference to the organizational committee, that would be, those would be
Sure.
action items.
Sure, I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm fine with that.
Sure. I think that works. Robbie's your hand up? Okay, sorry. Just sensitive to levels. Andrea.
And just forward thinking to the new board needing to look at all these terms of reference and having to approve them, then will it fall to then when they look at what was going to be changed on that terms of reference and they have a question as to why is that being changed in terms of term of reference, and the chair is no longer there of the committee that wrote the report and put the terms of reference up there, then that will need to you for to have that information. Not that any of them are going to be that earth shattering, but in the future it could. So I just wanted to put that out there. I would not like to come on to a new board and have to do that with such a small amount of information, because I found it overwhelming even knowing what all of these committees did. Like, the learning curve was steep. So I would say if there's anything that we can do to get these done so they don't have to come in and sit and go through that, and is what comes on. It's my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
Looking at it realistically as to what you're putting on a new board when they come in.
yeah, and
It's just me.
I can respond to some of that. And I think from an operations administrative perspective, one of the things Chris and I can do is spend a little bit of time to, because for one of my challenges with the terms of reference, similar experience was going and trying to find where they, and you know, part of our problem is we've got terms of reference because they are supposed to be flexible documents that over time, depending on that sort of thing. And so when we do them via motion in a meeting, whether it's the organizational meeting or the first September meeting, it still creates the challenge of we get situations where terms of reference in November comes back, she wouldn't know that, we have to try. We did this in September, but then we did it again in November. So starting off with having it as one source, and then can decide, just like Jenny said, do we really want to approve these annually? Do we want to the organizational meeting? But I think the first place is having that one-stop shopping where we all know and we all agree these are the official terms references for the committees that the board works on and that we use, and anytime they're amended, that's what gets amended. And then we're always working with that, with information, and decide on the nuts and bolts of how we want to approve them. Do we want to approve them every year? But I think that organizational piece, if we like organized, it might be like, yeah, we don't have to approve this annually. We feel and it can just come in an ad hoc fashion, or we might decide we want to make this a routine. So short answer is, yeah, we can, on the administrative side, we can do some of that background work, and then the next board can make a decision if they want to enact that.
Any other comments? Morag.
We always port over minutes from the last meeting anyway, so we can review them. And that's where it would be detailing what the terms of reference changes are, yeah.
Floor to rescind the terms of Facilities Committee, and that has been seconded. Those in favor? And those opposed? Thank you. That is carried. So now can I not be interrupted, please? I'm looking now for a motion to move because they're on this agenda, to move the approval of the terms of reference of standing committees to the organizational committee, or because they're on this agenda. So I'm just looking for a motion to move that, or can I just table it? Right. So I'm looking for a motion to table, please. Jenny?
I move that we action items 11.2, action item 11.2, the terms of reference acceptance to be addressed at our organizational meeting.
Thank you. And I will open it up for question. Craig?
I just have one question, because I was going to make a motion and the budget committee, because what we currently have as a term of reference is not how we really work. We basically have turned it into a whole board committee, and I still think that's important. So when can we an amendment to the budget committee organization, which is really a board committee? So I guess, looking at Kyle,
I would suggest that the intention when they were on was to either accept the terms of reference as presented or as amended. So when they are presented either at the future organizational committee meeting, they would have to be presented as, there could be options to amend at that meeting.
that was my concern, is that at the organizational meeting, we can't amend these terms of reference, correct?
So, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm fine with this motion.
Yeah, certainly if there's trustees on the board with historical awareness of how those function, they would be able to make amendments. Jenny, was your hand up?
For current policy, because this is already on the agenda, if you really felt compelled, you could still ask me to amend my motion to keep that one out. You could make that, but it would still be reviewed at the organizational meeting again, because that's what we're trying to do, is follow that policy.
No, I'm doing it at the organizational meeting. I just wanted clarification on that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it would be good to do it all in one spot. Let's not pick and choose visual ones. Okay. All right, and a motion's been made to table. And that's carried. Thank you. All right, so what we will do now is we will move through the reports. We can move with the assumption that everybody has read the reports. The report made thorough debate, but certainly you can ask the trustee sitting in the committee chair any questions that you would like for clarity. So we have already heard the facilities committee report. And again, we don't need to do that when again cover the division wellness report. So now on to the Indigenous Education Committee report. And that was myself, and I have sitting on this committee with Andrew Chuck. And so my report is before you. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I do say it is certainly a privilege to sit on this committee and to see the grit and the dedication of this team who serve our division so well. They are understaffed, and they have such a deep commitment to our students and to our staff to build capacity of the Indigenous ways of knowing. And certainly in our committee conversations, there's been an acknowledgement of increased confidence of our staff team in general to deliver to deliver Indigenous instruction. And so that's certainly been something to cheer about within this committee, and I think something for our division to celebrate. And as we move into our week of truth and reconciliation, I just think it's something that I've been very cognizant of is for our non-Indigenous community, of which I am part of, there is a comprehension of history that we will never attain. And so we certainly wish to grow and learn as much as we are able, and we grow in understanding. But I just want to acknowledge the soul-filled sacrifice that team members give to our. And I think that when in our journey to learning, we're asking them to relive family trauma, to relive stories of deep pain. They do it with patience, and I can't imagine how soul tired they are by the end of the week. And so I just want to acknowledge those team members and say thank you for your heart sacrifice to the benefit of our community and to others. And we thank you for the ways that you have impacted our school division and even impacted our city for the better. Reconciliation. So that is my report. Comment is, are there any questions? Was your hand up? Okay. All right, we will move on to Poverty Intervention Committee. Christina Larkin is not here to present, so the report is before you. Certainly this has been it's on this committee of how to move forward with efficiency of time. We know it certainly takes staff time to come serve on this committee, and we're just going to continue those conversations, but certainly awareness of student poverty, child poverty within our division has grown, and I think there's an increased capacity of understanding of services that we provide as a division and the community provides to our students to reduce barriers to learning. And there. All right, we move forward to our Policy Advisory Committee. Jenny, is this you? I think
Christina chairs this one as well, but I sit on this policy as well. I'm happy to speak to it in her absence if you'd like. Perfect. Okay, Policy Advisory Committee, the report is there, and we did have that change to our conference this year, and including additional parent voice. Adding, we have from Division School Council, we now have 3 representatives, 1 for each level at elementary, middle school, and high school. On that to be informative and effective change, in addition to the voices that already sit at that table. And a lot of hard work happens at that committee where there's a diligent effort to back to each of the groups that are being represented by the person that's sitting at the table on their behalf, and an effective representative group and share insights and to have in helping to adjust policies. This year was a little bit challenging with the ongoing board at the time as the Policy Advisory Committee trying to momentum as well, and I think we did that well and appreciated the support from our superintendent and from our division principal as well in accomplishing that. We're able to give some real thoughtful, insightful conversations to some important topics and to increase in and to set up some policies that I think our work we are each proud of. Thank you.
excellent. Thank you, Jenny. Any questions for Jenny? All right, we will move on to Board Budget Committee. And the report is before us. As Craig has said, we all sit on the Board Budget Committee. Any discussion on this? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to Superintendent Evaluation Committee. The report is before you. A formative evaluation of attendance year and all of notes within policy were completed in the 2024-2025 year. My recommendation for this policy is policy 301.2.4 to read, the report will be presented for board approval at the board meeting in June and be signed by the board chair at this meeting. I think that will just ensure that the signing of a report isn't missed before it is filed in. So that I will make time. So I move to amend 2.4 to read, the report will be presented for approval at the board meeting in June and be signed by the board chair at this meeting. I will open that up for discussion. Greg.
I just thought we were gonna, that recommendation should come at the organizational meeting because it's a motion to change the term reference, isn't it?
To amend policy 301.3.
Oh, okay.
So in the report, I have policy 301.3, the evaluation process, and then all the steps for the formative
Oh, okay.
evaluation.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Any other questions? All right, those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Is there anyone online, Kristen, for public forum? Do they know that they can just come in or should we? Okay. Okay. I will move forward with board audit report. Tyler, chair. Jenny Steed was the second. Is there anything you'd like to add about the report? Or just, it is there? It is there. All right, we will move on to Community Engagement Committee. Andrea.
We really enjoyed our time on the Community Engagement Committee this year. Christine Light was our other trustee, and Town Hall, we started earlier in the year looking for questions, and it was really well attended despite being so cold, so that was wonderful. The ICE Awards showcase is always just amazing, and thank you to Winston Churchill High School staff for helping us get that all set up. We even had $100 for elementary and middle school table in attendance, so that was wonderful. The ICE Awards Scholarship Award, really important, and thank you to Garrett and Christine for sitting with me on that panel, and we had a record number of submissions, and you can see the list there of the students who were awarded scholarships, and it was noted that they really had a varied amount of presentations, from Black History Month to a creative songwriter, drag project, diabetes care packages, and then the brass bros who go and play at homes where people might feel more shut in. So it was amazing. And thank you, Garrett, for making a beautiful video. It was a very successful year. We also took on having community conversations, and that is something that we need to add reference. So Kristen, if I can work on that before that goes out, I'd be awesome. Thank you. Thank you for tolerating tons of because I and put it all together. And we also looked at the budget feedback, and that was very successful. A lot of people filled budget survey, and we do keep one book there. Should to do that in the future when there's maybe not so much curriculum coming down at the same time. It would be a wonderful thing to do. So there's the report.
Excellent. Thank you, Andrea. Are there any questions for Andrea? All right. We will pause the reading of reports and we will say welcome to all the guests who have joined us today. We love getting company in here. We don't often get company in here, so it's great to have all of you. Thank you for joining us. And somebody's presenting for public forum. Cito? Okay. So I will invite you to the front. Of course, whoever is going up to the front, yeah, absolutely. Oh, no, you can go to the front and then I can, yep. Thank you. So whoever's going up to the front, however you would like to present, that is fine. Kristen, can you please make sure her microphone is on? Oh, thank you, Morag.
Please come. Yeah. But you need to sit. You can sit beside me if you want, Alan. Okay. Okay. Just one. I guess it's just me. Yeah. Yeah. You want to sit here, Chad? You can sit beside Mom. Okay. Okay. You can sit with. How about that with Pat? Yeah. Oh, Sina. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Cool.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, welcome here, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join the public forum and present to the board today. We appreciate public members coming forward to express a concern or a perspective. The board will listen carefully to your presentation and carefully consider what you have to say today. The board will not be providing a response or engaging in dialogue following your presentation. However, we will ask clarifying questions if we do have any. And we will also provide a written response prior to the next public board meeting. So if I could have you please introduce yourself to the board, and you will have 5 minutes today.
Second. Or just after you introduce yourself. Oh. Okay. I didn't. But it'll be good because I need to say it. Yeah. So my name is Sept Parek, and I'm a mother of a child in the division who has needs that are greater than maybe some other children are, and so I've decided I wanted to come here, and I needed the support of the community. And so these are all the community members that could be here, but there's more. And so I'm a proud parent of a person in Division 51, and yeah, and I just want to present what our feelings are about the lack of EA supports. So yeah, yeah. So okay, but, so hello, and thank you for welcoming us to the forum. We have past, present, and future parents and caretakers of children from 12 here in Division 51 from across various schools, like so many, all the names. And many others couldn't come here tonight, but they are here in spirit. And you'll notice that we've brought our children here. That's not just for show. It's because we don't have childcare. And this reflects about what we kind of want to like bring forward is that a lack of childcare is kind of like not having EAs in the class because it limits the ability to engage and the lack, like, you know, limits their ability to learn, participate, and thrive. along with the children's rights, we're also speaking up for the teachers and the EAs who are run off their feet, and they are showing overwhelm. EAs are appreciated. We truly understand that, but do we know how important they are for long-term ability of a child to make sense of the world, and for that consistent support? So EAs in the class are important for typicals and neurodivergence, and everybody wins if they're in there. And yet, highly qualified EAs are not being funded because of funding inefficiencies. And parents are seeing the supports diminish, very similar. Like they're different, our stories are different, but it's like a similar theme. Supports are diminishing, parents are exhausted. We're always asking, why is this happening? Why is my child being left behind? And why is one child getting more supported, is not? And parents are affected, and mental health of teachers, neurodivergent kids, neurotypical children, and let's be honest, so is the administration. The administration we know is suffering. And all of us have faced different things, but this is a myriad of things. Asking for our child to be picked up during school hours, being told that our child no longer qualifies for EA supports, overcrowded classrooms where the teachers can't give individual attention to kids, children excluded from events outside of school and inside of school, lack of, some kids don't get to go to the assemblies, IEPs that are rushed, vague, and unproductive with no results, kids melting down when they come home because they're masking all day because they don't have enough behaviors to get that help, speaking with inclusive learning coordinators and superintendents who can't control what happens at the school. So let's be honest, like 32 kids in the class is way too much. It's not working. And maybe some kids or some teachers are making it work, but I'm sure they're getting overwhelmed too. And when EA time is cut, all students lose out, not just academically, but socially and emotionally. And when we called out to the parents to give us support, they said, like, why talk to the board? Isn't this a government issue? Why knock on the board? Well, this is not a knock. It is not. We love you guys, and we think you're great, and we wanted to do this face-to-face open forum today and see us in real life, right? And we know that the budget was devastating this year. We heard you, we saw you cry, and it made me cry. And I know 77% of the budget goes towards staffing, $2 million is on reserve and to be released soon, but that's still not going to help with the 11,000 children, $2.6 million for inclusive education, but that support still isn't seen in the class. So and most concerning is that the children with the visible behaviors, they don't get the help. Sometimes they're just asked to leave the school or stay off the property, and that's a problem because they need that social, emotional help, the academic help to become who they're going to become. And the principles of inclusive education seem to apply to the kids who seem to be team effort from teachers and EAs. Those diagnoses aren't being they don't build capacity, they're being overlooked, they're being shoved to lesser programs. We're being told that they're lesser in different words, but the EAs are there, and with collaboration and guidance from the teachers, they can help get each and every one of these children, no matter what level they're at, to whatever their potential is supposed to be, and that's not. We're seeing people needing to go to private schools, charter schools. They don't want to stay in the because they're, and we're sad all the time. Hopefully this message is getting to you, and we want this message to be like, vote against the budget if it doesn't meet our needs, and send the province a message. Send them that this isn't working and it needs to change. We need you guys. We need you guys to work with us. We know that like how many people come to these forums. Please have the courage. Please advocate for us. Please be leaders for us. Please innovate something new. Have 5 EAs in a class, that EA to be visible. It is okay because that's how they get help. That's how every single kid gets helped, right? When the neurotypical kids are helped, the neurodivergents are okay. They can be friends, they can understand each other, but right now they're just hiding in plain sight. And that is not what we want. Every kid to be proud of who they are. And because our children can't afford another year of things being looked, we need you guys to take action as soon as possible because our kids are getting older and we do have parents here whose kids are not thriving as good as they should be, and they're coming out of our division, and I hope that that sends a message, because we don't want any more kids like that. We want everyone to say that we're from Division 51 and we want the alumni to be awesome. So yes, so thank you for giving me that 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Yes.
Thank you, Sido. Thank you very much for your words and your presentation today. Are there any trustees who have a question for clarification? Andrea?
Not a question, but, oh no.
I was going to bring tissues for you. I knew I was going to bring tissues for you.
Look at
The
that.
box is already beside her.
As someone who taught all young children, and for 27 years in kindergarten, I was so lucky to have amazing EAs. And just a funny story, one of my students said, well, Mrs. Sterling does all the work around here. I just love that comment because it really, out of the mouths of babes, that little child could see how hard my amazing EA work. Sorry, it's not a cry. Thank you for your words, and we want our students to go on and thrive. We want our alumni to be proud. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Allison?
I just want to say thank you for coming here today and for all of you standing behind her. I certainly have come before this board many times, and it takes a lot to come, but it's important information that you guys are sharing and for us as trustees to see you all. So thank you.
And I just hope that from the live link that people can see that the board is here. The board is here for us, and I know many people don't, because we're not handed a kindergarten saying, this is who our superintendent and assistant superintendent is. We don't know what you guys do, right? So I want them to know that they should be speaking to you guys, yeah. About anything, not just EAs. EAs are super important, but anything, yeah.
Thank you. Jenny?
I just want to add my gratitude and thank you for standing together and for your passion and for the rallying for advocacy. Thank you.
Craig?
As a former teacher in another division, I know the importance of EAs and the importance of working together. So thank you for your presentation and for the support that you have here.
Thank you all for joining us today, and I will provide a written response to you by the next board meeting at the end of October. Thank you, or beginning of November, apologies. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, seeing no one else to present for public forum, we will continue on with our year-end reports. We have one, Spirit 51, two more. Thank you. Andrea. No, you're fine. You're good.
Student said, fan the mascara. She could do that. Fan the mascara. Okay, so we just finished community engagement. I'm just, sorry. Okay, so thank you so much to Tyler. I think he was like the brainchild behind all of this, and honoring all of our staff and making sure they all know the impact that they have in all the roles that they have for our students. You can see there, during our time, our 4-year time, we really changed like the years of service, what you get. And I think people have loved going through that catalog and choosing things. And I think it was just fantastic. And thank you to Robbie and Rhonda and Carrie Fall for always making us look good. That girl just worked so hard behind the scenes for us. Friends of 51, I just wanted to tell you that the 2 trees are now out in the hall with the apples, with the names of the people who donate, and they're changing color right now. Those 2 trees are changing color, and I already heard that the ESL children that come for intake have loved looking at those trees already, so the impact is awesome there. And something, oh, and you can see all the donors here there. And really, really excited about is working with Indigenous education in a collaborative way, how we are changing that hallway. So we have got 2 shadow boxes that will go where those pictures are. And they will have things like a braid of sweetgrass, a little ribbon skirt, all things that help us honor our name, many children, Agapu Gats. And also, I talked with Melanie Morrow, who I'm working with, and she's just working so hard to get this done. And I have a painting that my dad did of buffalo. And as it says down in Vic Park, education is our buffalo. And the buffalo is so important to our Indigenous population around us and the Blackfoot people. And so I will be getting that professionally copied and framed to go between the 2 shadow boxes. And so I found 2 of them that my dad had painted and let Mel choose which one she wanted. Oh, there I go again. I can't even see through my contacts anymore. I might have to leave just based on the fact that I need to go and fix my contacts. So I know, as I said, I kept this one all to myself, but it was just absolutely the best, getting to honor staff. And coming up, the 5125 Club, which I will miss, but that will be my last official time that you ever have to listen to me out of my English. So it's been an honor to be on this committee. So thank you to everybody involved. So we're excited. So watch for that hallway.
Excellent. Thank you, Andrea. Any questions for Andrea? All right, we will move on to School Boundary Alignment Committee.
Miss Christine usually wrote it up for me, and oh, I know. I made it. It was at a meeting. Committee, I think, on the fact that our boundary review, we had 70 people were happy. And what really shocked me, up to put the Spanish bilingual Nicholas Sharon, even though we didn't want it there, we would have accepted it because we felt we were listened to. And that, to me, is the most important thing when we do boundary review, is that people felt we. So on that thing, we have another project, and it's, a lot of people are wondering, but we've as a board, we've made about the 6s and 9s, and so that's our next project, grade reconstruction. And I apologize because we had the meeting and then ongoing, and I didn't find the time, unfortunately. However, with the new board, if they're still interested in that, I'd like to sit on the committee again because I think it's important to collect the data. Nothing more than just collecting the data and hearing what parents, students, and teachers and support staff and administrators say about 6s and 9s, and before any kind of decision. So that's the data. And next year, if they want to continue that, we will start looking at that. So that's the board.
Excellent. Thank you, Craig. Any questions for Craig? For writing reports and submitting them. That's excellent. We'll move on to 11.3, authorization of locally developed courses. Morag.
And so this was a misstep at the school level. Unfortunately, we missed the deadline. However, we are proceeding with requesting the locally developed for so we are still meeting that window, so do not fret. However, as you know, authorized use by the Board of Trustees, including the renewal courses that expired on August 31st, 2025. Division high schools have requested of below, as well as, and I know Christina Larkin loves doing this in her have to play. Both the Board of Trustees develop in all division schools program offerings to students.
Thank you, Morag. A quick question I have. So they've already expired. School courses at okay. Okay. And is the approval process, is that quite efficient?
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround. It's maybe a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Thank you.
Will lists be done at the same time? You
I
just
think
want me
each
to read
bullet,
through
each
that
bullet
whole
point can be
list?
done at a time. So you move each bullet point at a
Each one
time.
at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and
this
then
will
we
be 4
stop and vote.
motions.
It's not
She can
Right
read
here?
the recommendations as
okay. All right. Move that the Board of Trustees authorize the use of the following locally developed courses in all high schools to enhance offerings to the years indicated below. Acquisition of audio 25 and 35, 2471, and LDC 371 for 2020 to enhance program offerings to students.
And that's carried.
Authorize the use of the following developed course, continued use of chemistry, advanced 35, LDC 3138 for 3 credits, 31st, 2029, program offerings to students.
Thank you. Any discussion? Favor? And that's carried.
I move that the Board of Trustees authorize the following locally developed course, the use of essay 30 LDC 3609 for 3 credits until August 31st, 2029, continuance of program offerings to students.
Those in favor? And that's carried.
Course, continue theater in 25, LDC 199, and to provide continuance to students.
Any discussion? Those in favor? And all right, appoint City of Joint.
Of the board today, we do have an amendment to the joint use agreement with the city of Lethbridge. So little background, School of Lethbridge do have the agreement that we're able to use their facilities and they are able to open schools to the public for rentals and booking. Historically, in the past, the city of Lethbridge has provided school division funding for new construction projects to upsize their gym. And you'll see 4 schools which range in value, the city has provided funding to upsize. So informally, the agreement has been that for the school division receiving these funds, we would then enhance the number of nights that the facility is open for public booking from 1 day a night under the 1 day a week under the standard agreement to 2 days a week with the additional funding. So that is what is currently in place and being practiced right now. But the city of Lethbridge has requested this amendment added to formalize the funding relationship as part of the agreement. So operational wise, this is currently in place and acting as such. But again, we're looking to, as requested by the city, put this into formal writing with the funds they've committed.
Thank you very much. Andrea?
May I ask a question? Now, if a school needed to book their gym, do they have the first, yeah, like may they book the gym over a city booking? Like just thinking of Christmas concerts and things like that, like how much notice do they need to give to someone to make sure that they have the gym when they would need it?
Definitely. And so right now, each school has kind of provided that's their facilities are available for public use, right? So they will those dates. If an event comes at the school, like a concert or a sporting event that needs to be a change, then we work with the city to make that change. Usually we like to say with at least 2 weeks notice, right? The city is always really good in accommodating that as well. So we're not having school groups in like not being able to use our facilities because a third party is booking them.
Kyle, is it the same for outside, like for ball diamonds, things like that? Like if you were going to, have a student staff game or something, and is it the same process?
Essentially, yeah, because the access to the fields is in the facilities, it's all contained within the joint use agreement, so it's all the same terms and operational wise.
Any other questions? One question I do have there been administrators that have expressed challenge with providing the 2 nights, that are currently providing the 2 nights?
Not that I'm aware of, but that doesn't mean it hasn't happened in the past.
Thank you. All right, I'm looking for a motion. I see whoever brings the motion, if you could please include that the amendment is increasing from 1 night a week to 2 nights a week, just so that specificity is in the motion. Craig?
I move that the board approve amending the joint use agreement with Lethbridge School Division and the city of Lethbridge to go from 1 night a week to 2 nights a week, as per practice.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Those in favor? And that's, thank you very much. Now we move on to 11.5, natural gas procurement. Kyle.
The Lethbridge School Division's utilities, both electricity and natural gas, are managed on fixed contracts that will see our natural gas expire at the end of this year. So just some historical context first. The current contract is hedged at 50%. So that essentially means that 50% is fixed at the rate of 2.66 gigajoules, and the other 50% is floated on the active market as a variable cost. The intention behind that is it does provide some pricing stability through your fixed pricing, but it also does provide you an opportunity to essentially win a variable exercise. Currently, the school division has been seeing positive results from that as natural gas prices are low at the moment. Going forward with this contract expiring, we are recommending that we continue essentially the same practices for the next 5 years. Current prices ranging from 3.3 and a quarter to 3.5 gigajoules, depending on all in all, what does this mean on the budget? You know, all things considered equal, it would be about a 2 to 4% increase in the cost of natural gas for our budget. So it's a dollar increase in our gigajoule. Overall, the impact on the budget is expected to be minimal. We did look at other energy alternatives, basically splitting the hedge model into percentages. But currently, it's our belief that the 50-50 model provides the best well-rounded mix of budget certainty and opportunity for the division over the next term. So the recommendation is that the board authorize administration to proceed, but I'd be happy to take any questions from the board.
Thank you. Any questions? Craig.
Thanks for that. And one of my concerns, and I think as an organization, ASBA and public school boards, we really need to start advocating the government, because when 78% of our budget on natural gas is spent on transmission, distribution, carbon tax, administrative fees, and other miscellaneous charges, that's a little outlandish. I mean, that's going to a store and saying, how much is this? Well, it's really $12, but because of all this, $5. And I think and municipalities get together and really start advocating that there has to be a change in how the electricity and the natural gas is done in Alberta, because, I mean, we're taking money out of students' hands. Just, I mean, when you look at it, spent $820,000 and yet only $220,000 is actually for the gas. I get really concerned. I'm tired of being, even as a consumer, being ripped off. So I think that's something that needs to be brought to the rural municipalities, the municipality of, Alberta municipality, ASBA and public school boards, that we need a concerted effort to start to reduce some of those costs.
Thank you. Any questions? And if there are, I'm looking for a motion, please. Jenny.
Board authorize administration to execute a 50% shape block volume contract for natural gas supply from January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2030.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, Kyle. To 11.6, the draft governance policy omnibus, the second reading. So the memo is before you. First reading was carried at the June 17th board. And it was also moved for second reading to be held at the September 23rd meeting, which is today. And so this finding it on your agenda today. Since the June board meeting, there was an offer for a policy working date, and the response was quite minimal from trustees who'd be able to participate in that. And so a second offering was made for the beginning of September, and there was a minimal response for an ability to participate in that as well. And so I am presenting the omnibus almost as it was presented in. Um, There is an amendment within the policy. Hang on, let me find it. Oh, I made a mistake of not underlining that. To the board retaining authority over policy. It's in a moment. And so today I'm presenting it to you for a second reading. Now, when we started this work, the goal was to reduce the number policy work. The goal was to reduce the number of policies. And we also discussed setting the new board up with a clear and concise governance framework. That was the goal, and that was what we were working towards. And I think that is what we've captured. And knowing there has been no discussion since reading, no amendment first reading. As I present, there are two pathways for the board to consider. Presented a motion or a recommendation to accept the second reading of the draft. Now, I think if for a third reading to pass, the second has to be unanimous. And so if we know that it is not going to be unanimous, I think the question is, do we want the second reading? Knowing that if it still does pass but is not unanimous, we are leaving a board with only the third reading of the policy work. And I think we've, as a board, fiduciary duty to move through the policy work on this omnibus. We could move to pass the second and the third reading, and as it is a living document, the new board can take the new policies as we have worked on them and launch from that. You can continue to amend. Other option I see that if you don't feel confident or comfortable in supporting a second reading, to defer the presentation of the second and the third reading to a time later on or even in the new year to give the new board opportunity to onboard into their position, have that conversation around policy. It could be part of the onboarding of a board. However, when they are onboarded, it would be with our policy framework, not the one that we have worked on. So those are things to consider. And so what I'm going to do to open up discussion is I'm going to move a second reading of the draft governance policy omnibus, inclusive of division foundation statements, board operations, role of the trustee, role of the board chair, role of the alternate vice chair, policy development, board elections, and the role of the superintendent be accepted as presented. So I'll just open it up to discussion. Allison.
Thank you, Christine. I can appreciate the scenarios that you've presented here today for us. Just a couple of pieces that I have out of curiosity is in the memo, it states, as well as your words today talk about, as bus was presented at the public. My understanding was that it was presented and there was amendments. It was actually and I'm just let me know from this second reading that you're presenting today, if you can highlight for me the amendments that were carried as amended by this board, if you could highlight those for me that you presenting. I understand that this is, this board has seen the amendments that were made, so we've only had it since Friday. And I'm struggling to see the amendments that were in the first reading. So I'm just looking, knowing that you made the motion to second read, you can, those are.
I do not have them highlighted in my notes, so I would need to look at them. That is my
Okay.
response to that, yeah.
So what I see just from looking at it and knowing in this is our, from our, which highlight exactly the numbers that each of them are. Actually, none of the amendments were made. So second reading, the document that we've been presented in this package on Friday, seeing it since meeting, is the amendments that were made at that meeting. And for that, to ensure that we do good governance, I strongly believe and urge those that are sitting at this table that we need to ensure that there's good governance on this and that it's not something that we rush, that those amendments that were made were passed at first reading, and they should be in this document and not presented to the board without those amendments that were made at first reading. So I would like to request that it's tabled to the future board, and Kyle can, if there's agreement to that, but I think to go to a future board, certainly not the first one, but out of good governance, I don't feel that we should be reviewing this today.
Okay, sir. So Allison has made a point to table this to a future board meeting. Is there other trustee response to that? Andrea, and then
If we get those amendments onto this, is there a possibility we could do the second reading at committee of the whole? Like, could that be part of that last meeting or no?
can't have an action item at a committee of the
Okay,
whole, so we
so
cannot do that.
Cannot. There can't be
And
a special
so,
meeting
yeah,
attached to
no.
that?
Well, I mean, you can call a special meeting at
Well,
any time, but
I just mean that would be easier for the new board. Like, where could we get those amendments put into there so we could do that? Because otherwise, oh my goodness, all the work that we've put in,
Kristen.
I'd love to see it finished.
Okay. It's very cumbersome to do that. I think we should have it as a whole amended package to do it. Andrew, if you could, I've made the motion, so I either have to rescind the motion or we vote down the motion. And then there can be a motion made for, there can be a motion made for a special meeting for the purpose of passing the second and third reading of the and connect with Brian to ensure that those amendments are made, packages delivered with amendments, and to have the amendments clear. So we're aware of the, certainly, that certainly is possible, Andrew, if you're looking, if you're asking, is there a way to do that? I know Allison presented, allow the new board to do it, but that would be the way for this board to complete that.
And I'd love to hear discussion on that. It's just that the hours that we have sat around and gone through this, I really wish that upon a that onboarding, and because the learning curve, as I said before, was very steep, and we've done all the work. So if there is a way we could get that solid and attach that to that day.
Thank you, Andrea. Jenny, your hand was up.
So just for myself, is there a way for us to take this draft for the new board to be able to work off of this? Or you're saying unless this goes through second reading and third reading, the work that is done is lost on this draft?
The work that's done isn't going to be lost. I think it's more the matter of the timing of its completion, right? So as a board, do we want to have a complete omnibus prepared and presented to new board members to have in a concise package? Is that what we want? And do we want that to be part of our legacy and just us as a team seeing the completion of this work? A new board can still go to it and amend it, right? It can still be. Or do we as a board feel then it is now a rushed endeavor to pursue finishing it prior to the tenure? And I think really I think that's the conversation. And I think if we table this to a future meeting, put it in motion to have it come out at a later board meeting, the board will then pick it up, continue the work, choose to continue, to not continue, like it's up to the new board, right? So really it's how do we as a board want to pass this on to the next board? Yeah. So I am hearing, oh, certainly, Craig.
Well, I'd win-win. I think it's important that we pass these policies before we're finished. I also agree with Allison that we need to see the amendments before we pass it. So I'm willing to an hour out of our committee of the whole as a special. I think that's the win-win, is that we can spend an hour on the policies, pass it, then we're done for the new board, and we can still go on. And that's my feeling, is for all of us.
Okay, so I'm not seeing any support for moving second and third reading today, so I'm going to rescind my original motion. So now I am looking for a motion to proceed with. Correct?
We have a special meeting on October 6th?
October 7th?
Oh, no, that's not right.
October 7th.
Okay, on October 7th, starting at 3 p.m. Is the usual time, I guess, so at 3 p.m. And that, we don't have to talk about the committee of the whole, no. So I'm a special meeting on October 7th, starting at 3 p.m. to deal solely with this policy. Second reading. Yeah.
Could I just recommend that table the item to a special meeting at 3 p.m.?
I like your.
Okay, thank you very much. I will open that up to discussion. Okay, those in,
I think that the discussion needs to include, when would we be able to see the amended? Because I know that we certainly had asked in June for us to receive it basically 2 business days before we're to approve it, I think is appropriate. So when could we expect to see the amendments that were made at the first reading? We can be having good discussion and debate at the special meeting.
certainly I can request that we can receive the documents a week prior to the special. Any other discussion items?
Just, would that also include the policy development one?
Is that part of the package?
Yeah, it was part of,
It's part of the package. Yeah.
but with some amendments that was suggested at our committee of the whole.
Yeah, I can respond to that. Yeah, there's, with the policy development part, there are multiple moving parts on that one. And so I believe what the agreement was that what is in your package with whatever amendments, because I know there was a couple different versions of it in June, would go in your package. And then we would further explore some of the work that I've done for the board. That is definitely a new board to consider. And so something that, you know, if the board approved it, we would have something that would still work with policy development, but we might go ahead and update it in the future. So, yeah, I don't want to muddy the waters with those changes, 'cause I think it would just be too much at this point.
So, I can get clarified. If we come in there and we see something that we still don't like, we could make an amendment before we pass it as a second and third reading.
We can always amend. So policy development, to be able, need a majority vote to carry a second reading.
Right.
In order to get to a third reading on that date, it needs to
amend.
be unanimous.
Okay.
But before we vote within discussion, we can amend and make changes as needed. And certainly as, when you receive the documentation, as has been from the very beginning of this process, if you see items that you would appreciate amended or worked on by our consultant, you can connect with the consultant. He can do that work and present it to the board.
Okay.
Yeah. The motion is on the floor. Any more discussion? Great. Thank you very much. All right, it is 5:54. I do not see us going long after 6 o'clock. However, we might be a couple minutes after for a motion to go beyond 6 o'clock if needed. And those in favor? And that is carried. All right, we will move on to 11.7, draft growth supervision and evaluation policy, second reading.
I can maybe speak, if that's okay.
Please.
Yep, yeah, I'm happy to speak. So very quickly, Cole's Notes version of just the reminder. So is one we currently have, it's 3 or 4 policies related to evaluation. A little hard to find. So he's amending one of the policies in the policy advice, more of a broader overarching, and take 3 policies, put them into one. So that's what we did. And then we brought in June. The board was happy with that. And what we committed to was over the summer, and by we, I mean asking Robbie and Rhonda on the HR department to create procedures that support the policy. Concerns was, okay, Mike, we're going to go down to one, but we moved a whole bunch of stuff. Where does it go? Procedures. And so Rhonda have done that work. They've in the package so you can do it. Really, that's just so you can see all of the stuff that was in the policy and put it into procedure, which is really where we all sort of agreed that that's probably where. So we wanted to make sure as well, if the board did decide to eliminate stuff that we're actually time. So that's in your pack of that information. So another thing to be aware of, well, we did work with the policy advisory committee pretty closely on what should be in these evaluation documents, and that was the inspiration and the impetus for the admin procedures that we've created. One of the things we'd like to do is we will spend time going back to the respective employee groups and give them an opportunity to provide some feedback on those administrative procedures, because we think that's important. One of the nice things about administrative procedures is there is flexibility there, so we can go ahead and get back and make changes and tweaks fairly quickly based on what we hear and the feedback that we get. So all that means that if the board is comfortable with approving the growth supervision and evaluation policy second and third reading, then we would enact procedures right away as well. As soon as we put those procedures up, and then we'll just continue to.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any questions? If there are no questions, I need a motion, please. Andrea?
I move that the board accept the attached policy, staff growth, supervision, and evaluation for the second and third reading.
We can just do the second reading at once and then and just say this for the second reading.
For the
so we know
second
that.
reading.
Thank you. Any discussion? Those in favor? And that's carried, and because it is unanimous, we can now have a motion for the third reading.
I move that the board accept the attached policy, staff growth, supervision, and evaluation for the third reading.
Thank you. Any discussion? Those in favor? And that's carried. Excellent. Thank you. And now we move on to 11.8, growth supervision and evaluation procedures. Robbie. Is it Robbie? Are you doing it?
I actually stole her thunder and we covered all of it.
Okay.
There's no thunder. Yeah, no thunder.
All right.
But I will say a big thank you to Robbie and Rhonda for spending time over the summer and doing really good work that I think gives us a nice foundation. And then we will just continue to build on this and continue to improve it.
Excellent. Thank you. Craig.
I just thank you for doing the procedure and sharing it with the board, because sometimes boards don't share the procedure, and I think it's important that the board understand the procedures so they match the policy. So thank you very much.
I'll just add and reiterate step how important it will be to get feedback from those different staff groups. You'll see that it's watermarked draft on purpose. We need to make sure that we're connecting with those staff groups for feedback. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, now we move on to 11.9, voluntary retirement. Robbie?
Yes, thank you. Voluntary retirement is not new. You would have received this last year and previous years, but you may have received it in October. We've pushed it up a month, knowing that we don't have a formal board meeting in October, and we'd like to get this out, if approved, by November. And so just to reiterate, the voluntary retirement is for individuals that belong to the Alberta Teachers Retirement, as well as our local authorities pension plan, so the ATRF and the LAPP. And those who meet the requirement have the ability to retire earlier than the end of June. And so this is a mutually beneficial opportunity we offer that comes at no cost to the school division. And so it just does help human resources plan for earlier time, and it also allows the retiring individual to financially benefit getting their retirement early.
Okay, all right, that's it. Thank you. I will open it up to discussion. Andrea?
I think teachers have really appreciated this, and I think it's a win-win situation. It helps you with your staffing, and it helps that individual, so very much in support.
Craig?
Just to make sure, it also includes our CUPE members, doesn't it?
Yes, they would be included in the local authorities pension plan, so it's all encompassing for staff members that fall under those two pension
And the
groups.
non-union people.
Yes, correct. Thank you, Craig.
All right, I'm looking for a motion, please. There are two motions presented. There is a motion that we can choose from. There is a motion of support and a motion to terminate. So certainly the arrow on the screen is beside the motion to support. Craig?
I move that the board extend the voluntary retirement opportunity for the 2025-2026 school year to employees who qualify to collect a pension and are members of the Alberta Teachers Retirement Fund or local authorities pension plan, CUPE 290, CUPE 2843, and non-union employees. Employees intending to access this opportunity will be required to notify the division in writing process outlined by the division and submit a letter of retirement effective January 31st, 2026. These employees will be offered a temporary contract effective February 1st, 2026 to June 26, 2026, or the end date as per the appropriate employee calendar.
Excellent, thank you. Any discussion? In favor? And that's carried. All right, we will, oh, no, we do have division highlights. So we'll move with division highlights, and then we have 2 information items.
I'll start.
Okay.
I actually went to the Victoria Park barbecue, and it was great. And what really excited me was I ended up talking with a couple of former students at Victoria Park who were there with, I think it was the one lady's sister who has transferred over there for grade 12. And I asked the students what they really liked, and they said small classes, personal attention, and the flexibility. What really got me was that teachers came over and recognized, and one of the boys, one of the girls graduated a number of years ago, because when she first came here, it was Alan Watson. And she talked about that through Victoria Park, she was able to get a degree, or a diploma, and went to college and got a degree, which is fantastic. And the boy said that her husband said that he had to quit school in grade 11 to take care of his aunt, but that the metalworking courses that he took, he now is involved with one of the largest eavesdropping companies in Lethbridge. To me, that's a success. That's why we're here. And so I really appreciated that. I also attended the Proby, letting people know about school council, and believe it or not, I learned an Hawaiian dance that I will not share. But those 2 events, I think, are indicative of our school division. And again, I was honored to be at the West Cooley Station Elementary School grand opening. It was great to see the students and how they're enjoying it, the Spanish bilingual parents who are loving it, and the robotic. There's a lot of interesting situations at that school in the next few years. But it was just wonderful. And that, I think those are the 3 things that I've appreciated. And I'm trying to get out to a football game and some volleyball games, but it's hard to find all of the information on a calendar.
Thank you, Craig. I'll jump to Allison to the end.
Sounds good, thank you. Certainly been able to attend some council meetings, and that includes some AGMs, and got to attend Park Meadows Welcome Back Barbecue. It was great to be out there and engage with families. Certainly a highlight has been as well with the police station opening. I think just to be able to see it from when we were doing building blocks when we very first became trustees, and looking back at my first emails, that was pretty much a, hey, I know you just got announced and you're coming to build blocks on building a school. So we were all dispersed out to different schools working with families, and then just really the engagement piece and how we really work together as a board and division to ensure that the way we wanted to engage with families was certainly recognized in the plans that we actually put forward, and then to know that families appreciated, felt heard, and to see them at the event. It was just great to basically go that full circle to get to there. So I think that was certainly a highlight as we end our term as trustees, to really see that full circle was really great. So thank you.
Starting with the welcome back breakfast, I loved being there and cheering on all the gluten-free people. We were trying to sell our pancakes as the fluffiest. So it was wonderful. And Kristen, thank you for all of your organization around that. I know that you were up very early in the morning, and thank you. And I also love seeing where all the food goes to after. It's very important. Got informally into my Alyssa's and Andrew's school to help classrooms. That's all exciting time of year. Great. And choosing where everything is going to go in the room. I remember that went to General Stewart, all floors like and hopefully I can go there and help kids learn how to read or help in classrooms in a different way than being trustee. And the grand opening, of course, of West Cooley looks like a store in New York City. That was amazing to see. And my favorite part was meeting a little kindergarten girl who was just adorable. And, she and her so it's been an honor.
I'll just add, excuse me, the end of September, it's just the school year starting up with I've been able to go to some of the assemblies and events at our individual schools. A meet the teacher night, a couple of the elementary schools, one for my own kids and one for a school that I do liaison. They've had community nights to just meet the teachers, the community of the school, to make that connection, and seeing the work doing to set up plans to set up their classroom, thinking about its individuals as well as the school, and having those conversations with teachers has just made my heart, made me vision all the work being done in there. So
Thank you. And the one thing, a few things from the beginning, the sentiments shared on to naming of school. Cannot pronounce it in whole. Yeah. So respect, not try. I will be practicing over the coolies, and it was a really beautiful ceremony. And the wish and the hope of students in that name is that such the just it's very beautiful, and that is certainly the hope that we have for every student journey, and that is what we advocate and fight for in our roles. And so just we have two items on this agenda. 12.1
Summer, public school boards, a couple of divisions hosts some. We're allowed to see some of the stuff they're doing. Had a meal there, and when Lacombe on their robotics program, they raise goats, they have beehives, they produce fruit, and they sell it. Market and the robotics program. Now this is going to be tough for me. We come to the Panoka Rehabilitation Center for Brain Injury. I have a friend who was put into that facility back in the 1960s. And if you were put in that facility, you did not get out of it. But he proved to the group there that he could function and then he could live on his own. And he got out. I worked with him at a meatpacking plant. I've known him most of my life. Wonderful gentleman. But for someone that was in the Panoka Rehabilitation mental home, he now owns 4 houses in Lethbridge. That's the worth of a person. And then scooter accident. They're just high school. Some of them are. When she came to the Panoka Rehabilitation Center for Brain Injury, she couldn't walk. She walked into our room, our presentation, with a walker. And she basically, it was really um, a wonderful experience. And I wish more of us could have been there. There, it didn't get, we toured the Sheldon Kennedy Center for Sexual Assault. And this year, the only money they got from the government was to do the water, sewage and that. And then Recovery Alberta is helping. I just wanted to, so people understand that center. The top floor and the police. I asked the one girl, how do you survive in PTSD? She said, well, we don't take the dog and get in activity that we like. They can also have court there, and there's always watching. They then the area where if a person is sexually assaulted, instead of going to the hospital and waiting 12 hours, they can go to that center and they're treated and looked after within 4 to 5 hours. And the room is like a spa. Peaceful. And they have a bathroom. People started, and so they've now got white walls that people can write, and they're mostly positive notes. The second floor is the psychiatrists and the psychologists. So instead of waiting a year, 18, they're within 8 to 12 weeks. The bottom floor, and we were fortunate able to go there. I can't remember if it was 12 rooms. And these are students that are having problems, whether it's sexual assault, drug, alcohol, education program there. And they had just finished their big Battle of Alberta, and I think they brought in about $1 million between the Oilers and the Flames for the operation of that. Some golf balls from that group. And they said that one day they were having a meeting and one of the teachers came up and said, you need to see inside. And all the students there had painted rocks and wrote sayings on it. And the one that they put on the golf ball is, the world needs you. Sorry, Ann. It was, I just, when I looked at them, and I noticed these kids are all having problems, that they can be positive, that was just something that I had to share that with everybody. And I usually, people normally I do cry. I haven't done a lot in the 4 years. Emotional 3 days. And the last one, I just wanted to share this with you. On the last day, the Red Deer Public hosted about their fire academy. One of the trustees has done a lot of research on public school in Alberta, and technically, the Constitution allows for private schools in Alberta. So anyway, but I'm going to bring that up. But the other presentation, and I don't want to be confused with an earlier presentation, but Red Deer called a student room. And in that room, there's a teacher, an EA, and sometimes a counselor. It is not to go there for the whole day. It is there if a student is misbehaving, and the counselor, the EA teacher that can keep her program to the classroom. The superintendent talked about meeting with their teacher voice because it costs $2 million. And they have one room in every elementary school and they have one in their middle schools. About, in their thing, the teachers wanted to have smaller classes. Money on stay in a classroom. They can work in a classroom and the teacher keep it. So that was Wednesday, Friday, full experience. I will admit that I did afterwards, but I didn't expect, I guess, hit so hard emotionally from that, but it started on the thing and knowing and I'm just building being used in a different way than what it was intended. So that's my report, and I'm just thankful that I was able to.
Greg, thank you for sharing. Have 12.2, City School Boards Committee. Allison, you pulled the consent.
I did. And thank you for sharing those stories. Did you pull do you have it in front of you? Okay, excellent. So just two pieces. One, number 3, in regards to just looking for some information of what the was of City of Lethbridge into 4 provincial ridings. And then the second one, transportation, the discussion on possible solutions to busing that would benefit both the school division and the City of Lethbridge. So both of those items. More City of Lethbridge into 4 provincial ridings. Councillor Parker presented this, just curious if boards had a conversation about it, what we thought about it, and it was a very brief conversation, and essentially as we have talked about as boards of it, and that was the conversation of that topic. And then number 5, discussion on possible creative to both schools in the city. Certain creative solutions aren't bulleted at this meeting. I Mike met with city officials. I'm correct in that, right? You have. It's not just a plan. In the end of our Southland contract coming next year, a possibility of looking into, for example, how we find a solution that benefits both school divisions and the. So these are very inaudible conversations. Okay. Andrea.
So how was the discussion left on the dividing of Lethbridge into 4?
It was left very open-ended. It wasn't a decision to be made. It was just where nobody's really looking to move forwards in that. It was just announced by the provincial government as an idea. Okay. And so they were just looking for perspective.
And will they be looking for feedback, more feedback?
We have not been told that they will be looking for more feedback. Yeah. All right, we have no correspondence sent, no correspondence received. And so I adjourn us at 6:22. Thank you, team.